Why, hello, my friends in film fandom, wherever you are and however you may be watching. Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. Plenty of stories to go into today, even a little bit of breaking news that happened this afternoon involving the daughter of the king of rock and roll. Definitely some craziness going on with that. We'll start off the show with that. But here with me, as always, is my not ready for primetime crew, not ready for so many ways. We got, let's see, what were we talking about right before the show? We were talking about text-making friends in Vegas, the legal kind. They're not, remember, it's okay there. It's not okay in the rest of the world, but it's okay there. But plenty to go into today. And of course, here to go on with all the stories with me is the Dowager Countess, Lady Cora. How are you doing, man?
I'm great. I'm dabbling in the real estate game of crazy ups and downs, and it's emotional, distressing, exciting. It's like gambling. It's crazy.
You picked a great place to do it, too. That's kind of where you're
yeah.
right around the gambling
I'm moving to
capital
Vegas,
of the world.
for the record,
area, so.
And that's why Tex was joking about wanting to find out where I live when I get a place in Vegas so he can bring prostitutes back to my house. So there we go.
Friends, not prostitutes. Friends.
We'll use the French word, courtesans. Courtesans.
There you go.
That sounds way more legitimate.
Much classier.
That sounds way cooler, much classier. But also here with me, of course, is my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What's going on with you, brother?
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
I like
That's where
your
Jeremy's
t-shirt.
at right now, folks.
Gets even better. There's more shit on it. There's the dagger on this sleeve. I'm not wearing it because it's cold. And there's the Demogorgon head on this side. And then there's the big back patch that says Demogorgon Hunter on the back.
I'm eagerly awaiting the Stranger Things inspired shirt design that Jeremy is working on for us. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty confident that's going to be a banger. But also with us is the Shape from the Lone Star State. Our man just died the border. Our man Tex. What's up, brother?
Well, I'm doing well, sir. And as a true feminist, I support all workers of, the female variety that,
They're
may
called sex workers. That's the correct term to call
that
them
may
anymore.
participate in the world's oldest profession. Some say. See, Cora's not a true feminist here, so she's a pretender. So, I'm the true feminist. So
Fuck
it's okay.
feminists.
What's up, everybody?
They're crazy
And-
stupid.
And a happy birthday to Mr. Rob Zombie. So, here's to you.
Happy
my
birthday,
friend.
Rob Zombie.
There you go.
Absolutely. But as I said earlier, coming into a little bit of breaking news, something that happened this afternoon is Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, and his I think only wife, Priscilla. I don't think he married anybody else. She was rushed to the hospital this afternoon in Southern California, I believe, after there hasn't been a whole lot of details that have come out about this. I've read some things online that are unconfirmed saying heart attack, but whatever the case, medics were called to her home by her family, and she was given CPR on the scene to restore her pulse.
I heard her maid found her. Wouldn't that be crazy if she died like her dad did, found in the bathroom by the maid?
Yeah, I don't know. However it worked. I mean, it didn't get to that point, thank God. But I mean, she was properly resuscitated by emergency medical personnel on the scene and transported to the hospital where, again, not a lot known, but all that has come out about it from the family is that Priscilla Presley has said that she is doing well. She is under the care of medical professionals, and she wants thoughts and prayers. Obviously, they have them from me. But I don't know. Cora, what are some of your thoughts on this breaking news that happened this afternoon?
Well, I think it's probably really distressing to have that aired out publicly, but she's Elvis's daughter. But frankly speaking, she's probably just focused on taking care of her life and her health right now, and she doesn't care. But I mean, she's Elvis's daughter. She's iconic, and she, had that fake marriage with, the weirdo. So everybody knows who she is, and I hope she's okay. But
when you're a celebrity, I think every marriage is a fake marriage. But I mean, that's it's kind of the way it goes in Hollywood. You're always acting.
But to be fair, I think Elvis did love her mother. They did seem like they were in love.
Oh yeah.
I can't help but feel for the family here because I'm sure they're all shook up about this health scare that they're having here. Sorry, that was my
it's a good thing you have children because that gives you license to say dad jokes and get away with it.
No, seriously though. Hopefully she's all right. Hopefully it's a minor thing, but
Yeah, no doubt. Jeremy, what do you think? I mean, this was kind of some breaking news. It took a lot of people by surprise. She's not old. She's only 55. So a heart attack at 55 is not unheard of, but it's still not quite to that age where we would imagine that kind of thing is going to happen. What are some of your thoughts?
I don't know. With comments like that from Tex, I don't know if we can keep going on with this show with suspicious minds. Yeah, I can do it too.
Oh
Hey.
my!
I can't help but follow him for that
humor
crap you
tonight.
got going on there. Okay, this is
But I also do want to point out in the chat real quick. Casey's Raw, what's up, my brother? Also, remember, do what you're gonna do, chat. He's got no blue wrench next to his name today. So let's see if we can set a record and time
attack.
Time out on Derailed. So go ahead and take care of that, chat. To all of
Unleash hell.
To anybody who's a mod, there's like 3 of you. But anyway,
Well,
it's a good time to move on into our first story. So, Lady Cora, what's the first topic we'll be going into tonight?
First off, I already timed him out. Angela Bassett took home the award for Best Supporting Actress in any motion picture at the 2023 Golden Globes for her role of Queen Ramonda in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This nod marks Bassett's second after she was nominated and won the Globe for Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical Film for What's Love Got to Do with It at the 1994 Awards. Bassett's win is only the second major award to be given for performance in a comic book film and the first for Marvel. Jeremy, what do you think of Bassett bringing home Marvel's big award? Or first big award?
I mean, it's Angela Bassett. Are we really surprised? I think we mentioned it in the review. Like, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Danai Gurira. It's like, I mean, even as an audience member, she walks into a room and she owns that whole damn room. Like, she could truly be the queen of Wakanda. And I mean, I remember how we discussed how old she was. And I mean, like, she's in great shape. She can go out there and kick some ass if she really wanted to.
Well, Stella still has her groove.
Yeah, she does. They kind of just sideline that weird. Hey, you have to actually physically fight for the throne without the Black Panther powers, and I'm like, oh well, I'm pretty sure she did. Like
She actually trained for that role. So
I don't doubt it.
She did do some fighting and stuff with Dinah Guerrera and a bunch of people. She actually worked to train for that movie, learn how to fight. So her handling a spear, even though she's not doing a whole lot of battle in the movie, that's her doing it all.
She would have hucked that thing right through Namor's fucking little skull if she had the chance. Would have been awesome. But you don't. This isn't like the days of going out and trying to wage war against Poseidon, go out there and stab the ocean with spears. I'm like, well, I don't think she's gonna stab the water. She's still drowned. So no matter how strong you are.
Yeah. Tex, what do you think? I mean, it seems like Marvel, for all of its talent, and they've had some Oscar level actors in there and some great performances. For some reason, is it the comic book industry? What is it? I mean, what do you think about Marvel finally getting a trophy?
Well, I mean, we've heard what certain people in Hollywood think about, the comic book films, how they're a theme park ride. It's not real cinema. It's whatever. And I mean, they're kind of the B movies in a lot of people's eyes because it's not art or it's not whatever. When in reality, like Quentin Tarantino has said multiple times, if it wasn't for movies like this making tons of money, you wouldn't be able to make your artsy project that, is your passion project that 15 people will go pay to see. So obviously the comic book genre is relevant. It's huge. I mean, that's why we get 15 of them a year now. And as far as, the actress herself, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight was the first comic book movie to win an award like this, correct?
For a comic
Didn't he win it?
movie,
He got an Oscar,
yes. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He won the Oscar. So basically, if you want your comic book movie to win, one of your cast has to die after you make the film. Basically, this is a standard that has been set. But it's, Angela Bassett, quality actress. I mean, even me, someone who didn't really like the film and criticized it pretty heavily on here, you can't discount her performance. I mean, I even said she was the best part of this movie. So, I mean, it was well deserved. And I mean, the Black Panther 2, and, the circumstances that surround the film are, less than ideal. But I'm glad something good could come out of it because it was well deserved by her. So good on her.
Yeah, Cora, what do you think? I mean, I know you've seen What's Love Got to Do with It. I personally think she's been an Oscar-level actress since she hit the scene. I mean, she's been in a lot of great films. It seems like her as a whole
actress.
It seems like her as a whole has never really gotten kind of some of the credit that I feel she deserves.
She was the first time I saw her was in that Whitney Houston movie, Waiting to Exhale.
Yeah.
Where she was one of the collective cast, and she was one of the more serious characters in the movie. Then I saw her in How Stella Got Her Groove Back, and a few other supporting role movies in other movies, excuse me. And when I first saw Black Panther, I was very impressed with her. And I was surprised, honestly, that she was willing to take kind of such a kind of quiet role of just being the mom of somebody in a superhero comic book movie. But I'm glad she did, especially now. I think it's great. She got the nod. It's appropriate. But, let's be honest, there are a lot of actors who do a lot of great roles in a lot of great movies. And a lot of people never get the accolades or the nominations. So it's just kind of the right time, the right place. And congrats to Marvel, but more so for Angela Bassett.
Now, how much do you think Chadwick Boseman's passing? Because obviously, if he didn't
100%.
pass, it was a complete different script. So Angela Bassett's role would have been probably as minor as it was in the first one. Do you think that, or how much do you think his death and then the way the film played out played into her winning this award, though?
Well, I mean, if you believe Ryan Coogler, some of the interviews that have come out since the movie released, the basic tone of the film didn't change a whole lot. Because from what he was saying, that a lot of this movie was going to kind of surround grief anyway. That originally, before Chadwick Boseman's passing, the idea was that he was going to feel a lot of sadness over being gone for 5 years when he was snapped away. So yeah, he comes back, he helps defeat Thanos, and when he goes back to Wakanda, he feels a lot of guilt because he wasn't around while Wakanda was dealing with like the aftermath of the blip and so on and so on and so on. So a lot of that really just kind of transferred over to. Some of that feeling transferred over to her and Shuri, to those characters. So yeah, some dialogue changed, but the overall tone of the movie, if Ryan Coogler is to be believed, didn't change a whole lot. So,
but see, I had read that the original script was more of a father-son movie where Chadwick Boseman and the son in the film were off, and like the movie stemmed out of that, though. Like, am I wrong in that, or was that hearsay, or was that something else?
That could have been part of why T'Challa would have felt guilty, is that he maybe didn't know at the time of the snap that he was going to have a kid, and that all happened when he was gone. So when he reappears, helps defeat Thanos, and goes home, he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, I've got a kid," and that might have been one of the big driving factors for why he felt guilt in the movie. Now, obviously, some things were going to change because you had no Chadwick Boseman, you had no T'Challa, but yeah, I mean, but basically, the overall tone of the film didn't change a whole lot. It's just like the pressure and the guilt transferred to other characters, and was portrayed in different ways. Now, when I first heard this, I thought, of course she won. She's fucking amazing. It's like, I mean, if you've ever seen her in anything at all, I mean, it's like me and Jennifer religiously watch the show 911 on TV. With her and she's the LA cop. I love that show. Yeah. And I'm reminded every time I watch another episode of that show that one of the things that I very much love about her is her presence. She steps on camera and she instantly owns the scene. Like, she is the boldest, most boisterous, most in charge character that is in a scene. Even when now sometimes you would say that she doesn't need to be, but like, my eyes always go to her because I feel like she's always running things when she's on camera. And that's just the presence she has. And I talked a long time ago about other actresses that have this presence. People like Alfre Woodard is another person that kind of commands screen time. The way she delivers dialogue, it's all those things can be said about Angela Bassett. The other thing that gets me about this movie in particular is that while Letitia Wright certainly carries some of the emotion on this, especially through that opening scene of that movie, which I thought was beautifully done. She carries most of the action in the film, whereas the emotion, by and large, about 90% of it is carried by Angela Bassett. And there's two scenes in particular that stick out to me. It's just about how good she really is. One is the scene at the UN, where you don't have T'Challa there to be the leader anymore, so she knows she has to step up. She knows she has the power to do it. She knows that her words are going to carry weight, so she goes out there and, like a damn boss, she runs them. I mean, she grabs that group of French mercenaries that were trying to steal the vibranium and walks them in there like a boss. She's like, I could have killed these fools. I could have whacked these guys and dumped their bodies in the ocean, but no, I'm gonna let you have them back because I want you to know that there is nothing you can do to top me, to top us as Wakandans. The next thing is that scene where she's yelling at Okoye. It's like I was watching that scene in the theater and I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is the Oscar clip. You ever see Wayne's World where he's like doing the thing, it's the Oscar clip flashing at the bottom? It's like I was seeing that in my mind. I was like, Oscar clip flashing at the bottom of the screen. I was like, that is one of the better monologues I've seen in a while. It was just that good. Again, it was dialogue delivery. It was how she carries the emotional weight of everything that we knew was going to happen. Because I see going into the movie that they're going to have to figure out a way to deal with the loss of the character and the actor, and it's going to have to be special. It can't be half-assed. It can't be poorly done. It's going to have to be great, and it was great in large part because of her performance. That's kind of my personal thoughts. I thought honestly, when the Oscars happen here in a month and a half ish, I don't remember exactly when the Oscars are. I got to be honest. I wouldn't be entirely shocked for her to win the Oscar. She was that good in this movie. That good.
Have they announced the rest of the nominees? I don't keep up with any of that. I have no clue. Have they said who has a chance for what?
They have not. They usually do that sometime around the 1st of February. I don't know exactly when. I haven't actually watched the Oscars for 20 years, so I don't know. But I know they've pushed it back a little bit from what it usually is because they're still trying to catch up on, like a lot of delays from pandemic filming and release schedules and stuff like that. Right. So I think they moved it back into like March or April. So it might still be another month or so before we get actual nominees. But I would imagine she's going to be on that list. And I'd have to imagine that unless some really, really big names are on there with really, really big performances, she's going to win this one pretty easily.
Do you think now, Oscar-wise, do you think she'll be in the supporting actress role, overall? Like what category do you see them putting her in?
Well, a lot of it depends on what Disney puts her forward for. I think they would probably put her. I think they would probably put her in the best supporting actress role because I think Letitia Wright's probably the lead of the movie. So I think now it's not saying that she couldn't be nominated. Not saying that her and Letitia Wright couldn't both be nominated for Best Actress. I mean, maybe I don't. The nomination process is kind of a weird one. It seems to change kind of sporadically, so I don't know exactly how it works. But yeah, I mean, you could have two women or two men from the same movie get nominated for the same award. It happens quite frequently. I mean, I think
I've seen it happen. It happened for The West Wing during the Golden Globe years when The West Wing was airing because there were so many people in that cast.
Yeah. It's happened at the Oscars though for movies that more than one person gets nominated for the same award from the same project. So I mean, whatever. All I know is that if she gets nominated for anything, she's got to be one of the odds-on favorites to win because she's just that damn good. And
I said,
the emotional weight of this movie it had to hit hard, and a lot of it did because of her. Like I said, that scene with her yelling at Okoye when she finally has that moment where her emotions break, that to me was phenomenal. That was the Oscar clip for me,
right?
But obviously,
I can't think of any. Obviously, I don't watch many Oscar-worthy films, you could say, but I can't think of anybody else that has gotten more attention than her in this. So I could see it.
You raise a point. One of these days, somebody's got to start giving better consideration to horror films.
Hey, if Terrifier 2 is not nominated, I'm protesting the entire Oscars. I won't even watch. Okay, if Terrifier 2 doesn't get Best Picture, it's a sham. That's all I got to say.
I wasn't planning on watching anyway, so whatever. Anyway.
I'm sure you'll watch it. Tex goes out there and slaps somebody for not nominating a horror movie.
I do. I want Tex to watch.
I will pull a Will Smith if Damien Leone doesn't win Best Director for Terrifier 2. I will pull a Will Smith and just watch.
So you're not going to nominate Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey,
or Cocaine Bear?
No,
it won't be eligible. That won't be eligible till next year. Till next year's award.
That's next year, Cora. We're scheduling these things out.
You know what? Next year, Magic Mike, the last chapter.
Nope.
Do you need to get kicked off the show for another week? Keep it up. One more week, Cora. You're out of here.
Well, obviously, we care about what you guys think. So go down in the comments below. Let us know. Are you guys impressed with Angela Bassett winning the first big award for Marvel, the Golden Globe, obviously, which has got its own kind of weird history recently anyway. But what do you think about her winning Best Supporting Actress for her role as Queen Ramonda in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever? Lady Cora, what's the next story we'll be talking about today?
Well, Oscar-winning up composer Michael Giacchino, who made his directorial debut on Disney Plus's black and white throwback Werewolf by Night. Hold on, I lost my spot. Is next getting behind the camera for a feature remake of the classic 1954 sci-fi man-eating monster movie Them at Warner Brothers. In the original Gordon Douglas directed film, a huge nest of irradiated ants are discovered in the New Mexico desert and become a national threat when two young queen ants and their consorts escape to set up nests. Sounds fantastic. The national search that ensues culminates in a battle in spillways and storm drains of Los Angeles. Tex, are you excited by the thought of Them, the remake, or do you think, in my opinion, it'll be just like Sharknado?
No, see, Sharknado is a pop your popcorn, fun, good time. This was a groundbreaking film in 1954.
Really?
Let's not forget. Yes. Well, this was this came out. This is the movie that started the giant bug whole genre
like
that bloomed from the 50s into the 60s.
Starship Trooper thing came out of this.
Well, Starship Troopers is a result of because of a movie like this.
But
go back to any of those old black and white to Technicolor, the Attack of the Giant or the thing with the 100-eye, movies. This
50-foot woman.
The 50-foot woman, this started it. This movie was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. A lot of movies at this point in time were using miniatures or whatever. They built that actual monster, much like they did Jaws, 20 some odd years later. This was a huge movie at the time. Visually stunning. It has very much relevancy. This movie is a result of the atomic age and the nuclear bomb being dropped in Hiroshima and everything else. And the director, this was his, social commentary of why nuclear is bad, is why they made this. And thousands of movies came after it that were a result because this was a success. I mean, I just wrote down a list of some of the people who were in the actual film. You had Leonard Nimoy, obviously Spock. He was small role in this film, but a big name.
He was.
You had James, uncredited, but in the film. James Arness, who, which of us hadn't seen Gunsmoke? He was Marshall Dillon, key role in this movie. You had Fess Parker. He was Disney's Davy Crockett. He was also Old Yeller and in Daniel Boone. He played all the roles. And to a lesser extent, we have James Whitmore, known for The Shawshank Redemption and Planet of the Apes. This is just four of the cast that was in this movie. Now, obviously, this is younger in their careers, and this was a step toward what they ended up at. But this is, yes, on the surface, you can look at it as, there was nuclear testing in the desert, and ants, evolved into 100-foot creatures, and they're killing people. Yes, you can look at it at that. But much like in the horror realm, a lot of things get passed over because they think it's a schlocky movie, when in reality, it's got some big stuff behind it. And this is one of those, and this is why Frank was so excited when he saw it, because he knew as well the significance of this movie. And this is why I hope this is a kickoff of the gigantic creature films, because, we've had the MonsterVerse with Godzilla and Kong, and we're still getting more of those. But I miss the giant bug movies. I love the way these movies look, the black and white. They're always in the desert somewhere because it's cheap to shoot in the desert. That's why they do that. And it's like going back to a different time period when things were more simple and enjoying it. This is why I like these kind of movies. So I'm very excited for it.
I'm going to confirm it real quick because I don't remember. It's been a while since I've looked at this list. I think this movie is actually in AFI's top 100 movies of all time.
It better be.
I have no clue about that. But this movie is a solid film. I love it.
Yeah, the three of us on this show right now that have seen this movie all hold this movie in very, very high regard.
100%.
I'm
Jer-
gonna actually look for it and watch it. Do you think they should remake other movies that aren't bug movies, like The Blob and things like that?
Well,
I would be
should
down
they-
for it as
Yeah.
long as it's done right.
Well, should they? Well, you should do it.
Can they make it a red blob and have it come out of Florida and take over the whole country? Oh wait, we did that. Damn it.
Orange, you mean?
That's almost a squirrel moment. That's almost a squirrel moment. I'm warning you. I've got my finger on the button.
You could almost redo that one movie with the killer bees that had Michael Caine in it back in like the 70s. You could still just put Michael Caine in this movie again. It'd be funny.
I'm okay with almost anything being remade except for movies like The Thing, Jaws, E.T., Back to the Future. Those are perfect.
Well, The Thing
That's on
technically
another
was a
level.
remake, though.
Right, but John Carpenter did it better than The Thing from Outer
I
Space. I
know.
think we can. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But
Superior remake,
movies
yes.
like this, they're not on that level. They're good, but they're not as good as The Thing or any of those. This, I hope it's done well. I want it in black and white. I want it to feel retro because that's the charm of it. If they just make it as a modern monster movie, it's not going to mean anything.
Well,
it's going to.
Here's the
it's
thing:
gonna
if they
come
make it
and go.
black and white, this guy's gonna get he's gonna have to do all his movies in black and white.
Well, not
Maybe that's
necessarily,
the thing.
but I mean, you've never seen the film, so you don't know. Like, okay, originally this movie was going to be made in color, but they slashed the budget, before they began.
Oh.
So this was a 3D movie. It's been a while since I watched the documentary about this, but basically this was going to be a 3D Technicolor film, and they cut the budget, but they kept the 3D part, but it's in black and white. But the only thing color in this film is the title credits. Them pops up with real big letters. It's like neon blue and red. It's a really cool scene. Like,
Do the
you
ants
just pause
talk?
it when that comes up. No, the ants don't talk.
I
But
haven't
No.
seen it.
No,
It's a legitimate question.
no, ants don't talk.
Do
That'd
they
be
use
ridiculous.
weapons?
It's not that kind
Well,
of movie.
some turtles got irradiated and they somehow learned karate and managed to talk. So
Right.
that's
Right.
a
No,
valid
this is-
question coming from her, I guess. So
This is a movie that needs to be seen. I didn't know it was on any top 100 list or whatever. I had no clue about
it
that.
actually is not in the AFI Top 100. I just went and looked. I thought I had seen it.
Okay.
There's a couple of movies just at a quick glance that I would take off that list and replace it with replace this movie with it. But Jeremy, you've seen the film. I mean, this is right up our alley for just amazing films to watch. What are some of your thoughts on the concept of getting this remade?
I mean, it's like Tech said, and I'm sure you're on board too. I'm all for it. Why not?
Oh, yeah.
This is a classic, movie that, even if you're not into like the really, gory or scary stuff, like, I mean, this is something you got to see. And it is in that time period of the 50s where it's like he was saying, like, this is now post World War II. This is now a nuclear / atomic age. And it's like, you got to think about like that time, what was going on. And it's like, and you have all these movies that like spawn from these real world things. You're like, oh my God, we don't know anything about it really. It's like, oh my God, we just got this new thing we discovered. And it's like, this is a kind of a scary thing. So when you just add it into a simple concept, like, oh, okay, sure, made a bunch of ants like, 10 times bigger than they're supposed to be. And that's terrifying on its own. And it worked. And I'm like, it just those movies in that little time frame are just something else, man. Because I was gonna say, jump forward about 10 years, well, more than that, about 15 years later. The reason, well, not really reason, but the only somewhat explanation they give to Night of the Living Dead, the OG Night of the Living Dead, which gave us all of our zombie, was they said, like, what was it? Oh, I don't know, some satellite, something crashed in space and the radiation from space, and inside that's all we got so far. I'm like, yeah, you just throw that in there, like, you don't know. That just start making people rise from the dead and start eating people? Sure. You know what I mean? And again, that movie is also in black and white. It's got this, that's kind of half its charm. But, and again, I can always have this in the video games. There is hilariously a mission somewhat early in Fallout 3 that is called Them. And of course, what is it? What is Fallout? Nuclear radiation. There's this little girl. The little girl runs up to you and is telling you about, like, oh my God, there's these big because all the obviously all the bugs in that game are larger than hell for no reason. These fire ants that are terrorizing the town, and they want you to go over there and just take them all out. So I appreciated that little nod the first time I played that game, and I'm like, that's hilarious. And I did it.
The scene of that little girl in the beginning of the movie when she's like walking like a zombie, no pun intended here, just through the desert, just aimlessly, does not know where she's going. We don't know what's happened to her. When they like set her down and like put the smelling salt under her nose, and she wakes up and that blood curdling scream, it's just like, whoa. Yeah, it's crazy. Like this is one of those time portal movies for me that I wish I could go back and see when it came out. This is one of those essential viewing kind of things.
Are there any of the original actors that could do cameos, do you think?
I think most of them are dead.
Probably most of them are dead. I mean, most of the stars were old, and this came out in '54. Maybe the little girl.
Maybe the girl. Yeah.
Maybe her, but I don't know of anybody.
Wouldn't it be cool if they did?
That'd be sweet.
Oh, I think it'd be great to have some kind of nostalgia hit. But this movie, it's got to be in black and white, and they got the right director for it. I mean, we all loved Werewolf by Night. That was that may be. Well, I know it's top 3 Marvel for me of all time, but it was definitely the best thing to come out of Phase 4 for me. So
it felt like something from that era, right?
Right. Well, I mean, it was a love letter to Universal, horror back in the day. So they've got the right dude for the project, and I'm excited for this one. I think it'll be fun. This is one that I'll be going to the drive-in to see, just as more of a nostalgia hit. You know what I mean? Because I think that's the perfect setting to go see it in. So if you've got a drive-in, check it out.
Yeah, this film came along in an era that inspired all the great monster movies to follow. This comes from the era that gave us the Godzilla movies, like the 50s Godzilla movies. And what's more, as it was loaded with what at the time was up and coming talent. James Whitmore, I think, was making a name for himself. You mentioned his name, Purnell. Not Purnell. Am I thinking of the one you just mentioned that was in the Gunsmoke? But it's like
James Arness.
James Arness. I was thinking Oliver Purnell for some reason. But James Arness, who was on his way up. As a matter of fact, I forget his name off the top of my head, but the guy that played the old man, the scientist, he was at the time.
The scientist was great.
He was kind of an acting legend from the 30s and 40s. Who actually, I think just a few years after this movie, he ended up passing away from natural causes. But I mean, just loaded with up and coming talent in an era where even something as goofy as like some fur wrapped around this gantry so it can look like an ant's leg coming down on somebody and hitting him in the chest was like high end special effects. So so it was from one of these great eras of filmmaking where they were learning how to take chances. They were very much in the baby steps of special effects, but I mean, even by today's standards, it holds up for some reason. It's like, that it's all, the practical effects were very rudimentary, but they still work so well.
Even the birds to this day still looks really good from like.
The birds are still terrifying to watch if you've never seen it before.
Yeah, even from like the 60s.
Anything Hitchcock, I'm crazy about, and I want to own them all on DVD, especially Rear Window. Both versions, love them both.
Yeah, the other thing that makes this really promising for me is that Giacchino did a great job paying homage to that era of filmmaking when he did Werewolf by Night. The black and white aesthetic, the way that he makes camera cuts, the costuming, the general feel. It's like I even said it when we talked about it on the show a while back, is that felt like something straight out of that era of filmmaking. It felt like watching the old Bela Lugosi stuff. It felt like watching one of those things that are so supremely satisfying to watch, even today, after we've got things like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, all this other craziness. It's like we can still go back to 60, 70 years ago and be genuinely entertained by a film like this. And the basic of the story of the film is still a relevant one. I mean, atomic energy is still a thing. It's still a thing that we either support or worry about for various reasons. It's all still out there. I mean, world events are keeping anything nuclear kind of in the popular consciousness. But but at that time in the 50s, when they're still kind of understanding what the atomic age really meant, what it was, to be able to make a movie that involved it that deeply, I thought was fantastic. Here's the one thing that worries me a bit, though, is according to the report in where did I draw this off? If I forget, it was in Bloody Disgusting. Yeah, Bloody Disgusting is where I drew the article off of. Is they want to center the movie around immigration. And I'm like,
yeah, I saw that.
I don't know how, because the atomic age makes sense. I mean, I just mentioned the Ninja Turtles kind of in joking. That kind of makes sense because toxic waste is really a thing. That makes sense. I don't understand how you're going to find a way to relate immigration to giant mutated ants.
I mean, if there's people trying to cross the border
Unless
in the desert and they come across the ants,
and they're trying to equate these ants with human beings who are from a different country.
Yeah, that's a stretch, though. If you want to draw
that was your opening
parallels,
scene. But
I don't know if you want to try to draw some social parallel. I mean, that's I don't know. Any way you're going to try to fold this into something that's happening right now is going to be a bit of a stretch. And I don't want them to stretch so much that they kind of lose the essence of what this movie is. I would love for this movie just to be a period piece. I don't want this to be set in modern day. I would love to see this reset back in 1954, where we're dealing with 1954 cops, which is what James Whitmore was in the movie. We're dealing with, I think the one dude was an FBI agent or something like that, wasn't he in the movie? And then you have the girl, Arnett, James Arnett was an FBI agent, I believe, in the movie. And then you got
he was an FBI.
Then you've got the woman and her uncle or grandpa, I forget who he was, or maybe just professor, I forget, who are like.
It was a woman. It was a woman with the two kids that get lost in the tunnels underneath.
Yeah.
By the end of the film.
Yeah, and then the woman who's I think she's a professor or she's a niece or something of the old guy, the professor,
I think
who was kind of working alongside him to try to figure out the biological aspect of it all, the scientific aspect of it all.
Right.
I would much rather than do it like that than to try to make it modern day and squeeze some modern day political issue into the movie. That to me would just be like, I don't necessarily mind them doing it if they can make it a natural part of the movie, but I don't know how you can connect immigration and mutant ants. Those two things don't exist on the same plane to me. So I don't know.
We don't need not everything needs social commentary.
It's going to take some creative storytelling. But look, I mean, this movie is it's in my top 20 all time.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to actually break down a list, that's a movie that every time I can watch it, I will.
Let me guess.
I will drop what I'm doing.
Just underneath Magic Mike, last chapter.
Just underneath. I haven't even seen Magic Mike the last chapter yet, and it's just underneath. If James Arnett would have shaken, if James Arnett would have shaken his ass a little more, ripped off his pants right there at the very end when they were putting the flame to the ants, I would have been a bit more impressed. But I mean, yeah, this movie really does have it all. And again, one of the things I think this movie could benefit from the modern day filmmaking is make it a little more gorier. A little bit more because there's a spot in the movie where one of the cops, after they find this nest of ants underneath the ground in LA, it's like the cops are down there trying to do all the stuff they're doing, and an ant gets one of them in his pinchers, and he just pinches the guy around the waist. And I was like, that's kind of scary enough in 1954, but to actually see him bite a human being in half, that's the kind of gore that I think would only make a movie like this better.
You could step it up more, and it would be kind of more fun because I mean, really, when you think about it, like you think it's just a goofy movie about again ants that are just massive. It's like, but think past that. What the hell would you even do?
Yeah.
What do you even do with that? You're like, oh shit. Do we shoot them? Obviously, we can't nuke them because that's going to make it worse. That's how
you get a team of military. My favorite scene in the whole movie is when the military guys show up with the flamethrowers, and they're actually like the way they made that scene. Because don't forget, this was a 3D film, so they had the cameras pointed directly at the guys, actual military soldiers, shooting flamethrowers at the camera. Is how they got that shot. Could you imagine being the cameraman on that and be like, I hope that doesn't go too far, because if so, I'm dead.
Yeah, this is the 50s. It'll be fine.
Right. They'll just rub some dirt on it and go along.
Yeah,
but
all right.
I hope they don't get too CGI heavy. Besides the political commentary, this is what worries me the most is make it look low budget, make it look older, because that's the charm of it. I don't need a modern retelling. I mean, you don't have to do a shot for shot because there's no point in that, but do it creatively, but keep it close to the original. because that's the whole point of doing a 54 film is the nostalgia hit of it. So
I mean,
I'm excited.
It took itself seriously, and that's the thing too. It's like, no,
Right.
just handle this correctly. Don't. I mean, again, it is a goofy
Well,
premise, but like it is terrifying to think about something like that.
When you
happening.
watch it, the only comedic relief in the film is the scientist. It's the old man doctor in there. His little quick one-liner jabs that he throws at people, they're funny because it feels real. It sounds like something that real people would actually say. It's not like a Sharknado, like Cora brought up a minute ago, where they're obviously, just jumping the shark and throwing comedy at your face. There's real tension. There's real feel in this movie. That's what makes it different. So I hope they keep that factor in there as well, because this is an important film. This started, obviously once you had Psycho and Texas Chainsaw and Halloween, that's when slashers were born. But prior to that, it was the monster movie. And you can directly correlate the success of that whole time period to this one. So I hope they do it right. I hope they do it justice.
How do you not like 50s sci-fi? I mean, it's its own special.
Oh, it's great.
It's awesome.
Isaac Asimov wrote a lot of great sci-fi books in that era as well, by the way. So.
Yeah.
Asimov, very true. Yes.
Yeah.
But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. The blockbuster 1954 hit them is going to be remade by Michael Giacchino, who did very famously the Werewolf by Night short film, 45-minute long film for Disney Plus. I personally myself am very, very excited about this. I cannot wait to get my hands on a ticket to see this. Very excited. Ultimately, like I said, I want it to be a period piece. I want it to be done at the same time in a lot of the same way. Change a couple of shots, modernize some of the visuals a little bit, but I am very, very excited.
Just don't go too far on the CGI. That's all I ask.
Yeah, try to stay practical, because that's one of the things that made all the movies like that back then very magical. But before we move on to our next topic, there is some breaking news, and thanks to EJ for making me want to go revisit this story real quick to make sure I had an update. Unfortunately, Lisa Marie Presley, the singer-songwriter and Elvis's daughter, has passed away at 54.
Oh, no.
Let's see. I'm reading directly from the Hollywood Reporter article that just dropped.
Damn.
It just dropped about 5 or so minutes ago.
I wonder if she was like brain dead when they resuscitated her and she was like in a coma when they took her in.
I would imagine those details are probably going to come out. But reading the article directly from here, Lisa Marie Presley, the smoky voice singer and songwriter who led a soap opera existence as the only child of Elvis Presley and the first wife of Michael Jackson, has died. She was 54. Presley died Thursday at West Hills Hospital and Medical Center after an episode of cardiac arrest earlier in the day at her home in Calabasas, California. Her mother, actress Priscilla Presley, announced in a statement. She said, quote, "It is with a heavy heart that I must share the devastating news that my beautiful daughter, Lisa Marie, has left us. She was the most passionate, strong, and loving woman I have ever known. We ask for privacy as we try to deal with this profound loss. Thank you for the love and prayers at this time. There will be no further comment." According to a spokesperson for the LA County Sheriff's Department, deputies and fire department personnel arrived on the scene before transporting Lisa Marie to the hospital. She and her mother attended the Golden Globes Tuesday night when Austin Butler won for his starring turn as her dad in Baz Luhrmann's Elvis movie.
Yep.
His acceptance speech, Butler said, in his acceptance speech, Butler said, "I also want to thank our incredible producers and Warner Brothers and the Presley family. Thank you guys. Thank you for opening your hearts and memories and your home to me, Lisa Marie and Priscilla. I love you forever." Earlier, she called his turn nothing short of spectacular, absolutely exquisite. Austin Butler channeled and embodied my father's hearts and soul beautifully. Goes on to talk a little about her career, her albums that she released. Let's see. She was born February 1st, 1968 in Memphis as the only child of Elvis and Priscilla, who were wed on May 1st of 67 at the Aladdin, Las Vegas. After her parents divorced when she was 4, she moved to Los Angeles to live with her mom. She was regularly visited her dad in Memphis. She wrote and sang about that on Lights Out. "I was crying every time I'd leave you and then didn't want to see you. I still keep my watch 2 hours behind." She was 9 when Elvis died at the age of 42 on August 16th of 1977. Of course, there's one famous picture of Elvis, Priscilla, and Lisa Marie as an infant. I still don't know how Priscilla Presley managed to get her hair that gigantic, but that's how they did it back in the 60s.
They used wig pieces, and that you would lift the back of your hair and put a thing in, like a sponge or like this netting stuff, and you put your hair over it,
Practical
it was a
effects.
thing.
Practical effects.
It
We were
works.
talking about that. But Presley became joint heir to his estate with her grandfather Vernon Presley and great grandmother Minnie May Hood Presley after their deaths in 79 and 80 respectively. She became the only surviving beneficiary, and she inherited his estate upon turning 25.
Wow.
In 2004, she sold 85% of the holdings for a reported $100 million to SFX Entertainment founder Robert FX Silverman, but retained her dad's Graceland estate on 13 acres in Memphis. I've not been in Graceland. I've actually been by it many times. I actually have family who live down in that area. I've actually seen his airplanes. Across the street from Graceland, there's like another park that has all of his airplanes in it.
Mhm.
I've actually walked through all of his airplanes. I have not been in Graceland, though, as of yet. She supervised the launch of a deeply personal exhibit at Graceland, Elvis Through His Daughter's Eyes, in 2012. She goes to talk about some more of her personal life. But yeah, unfortunately, Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis Presley, has passed away after whatever happened to her this morning when emergency services were called to her house. It's very unfortunate. I don't know. What are some of your guys' thoughts on that before we get back into the regular stories?
It's a little spooky that she may have went out just like her dad, short of the resuscitation and then dying at the hospital later.
Well, I mean, we don't know what happened yet. I mean, she was
True.
not old, but neither was she young. I know that Lisa Marie, as I recall, did have a little bit of a history with drug usage.
I didn't want to say it, but I knew that.
So.
I mean, and I know I'm not saying, of course, that she was doing anything recently, but
No,
just
but isn't there
that kind
some
of thing can
truth
damage your
to-
body. So
If you have a I don't know, maybe can't some people be severely affected long term by drug use and it weakens your cardiovascular system? I don't know. I'm not a
that's
doctor.
that's what I'm thinking. Is I know that it can. So I mean I know that she had been past that for some time, but I mean that kind of thing can't have its long term effects on the human body. So it's I mean, obviously that's just speculation, but I mean we don't know for sure what happened. I mean I've already seen a lot of people online already saying, did she get the jab and blah blah blah. I'm like, can we mourn first? I mean, can we do that? I mean, yeah, answers are great to have, but can we mourn first? No, Derek,
and give empathy to her mom. Nobody wants to survive their children.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. I've seen it happen a few times. It's awful. But I know Derek, she did not die in the shitter too. She actually was found collapsed on the floor of her house.
We don't know what room though.
We don't know what room. All I see was her house. But yeah, definitely some unfortunate news coming out of Hollywood, out of Los Angeles, that Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis Presley, has in fact passed away at 54. So yeah, our thoughts and prayers obviously to the Presley family. They've been through plenty over the years for sure, but yeah, definitely thinking about her at this terrible time. But Lady Cora, what's the next topic we'll be going into tonight?
Well, let's see here. I had a funny thing. Oh yes. Well, we had the. I was gonna say this cool thing about speaking of exoskeleton insects with exoskeletons, but we had an interim topic. So, anyways, a new trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania gives Marvel fans a look at the new installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is only about a month away. Several big and small details were revealed in the trailer that aired during the college football national title game. Less about the humor that normally is at the center of an Ant-Man film. This trailer foreshadows a very serious course Scott and his family will have to take when they venture into the quantum realm. Frank, what did you think of the new trailer?
I thought this was one of the most intriguing trailers that we've gotten from Marvel since like anything like Endgame or Infinity War. I mean, this trailer more so than any other trailer for one of the standalone films, it sets the stakes very, very high. I mean, because we already know, because they released all this already, that we've got the Kang Dynasty coming up. So we know that Kang will not be a character that only exists in this one movie or in the Ant-Man series, but he is going to be, I guess, the next big bad, the next Thanos level bad guy that the Avengers or that the Marvel heroes, whether they call themselves the Avengers or not anymore, aside, that they're going to have to face. So I mean, so this movie looks like it's going to be bonkers. It's absolutely going to set the stakes very, very high, not just for Scott Lang and for his crew, but for what's to come. One thing that did occur to me as I was watching this though is that Marvel, unlike they've done it in spots, but unlike most big franchises and most big movies, they don't give away the biggest part of the movie in the trailer that easily. So the fact that they gave away what they gave us in this movie makes me think that there's some bonkers shit that is coming to this movie that we don't even know about. I mean, I know we kind of thought that about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and while that movie kind of disappointed, they still hit us with a lot of stuff that we didn't see coming. I mean, let's face it, we were all blown away by seeing Patrick Stewart roll up in there as Professor Xavier on the whole little red hover scooter thing.
It was yellow.
But that was not that was not the most significant thing that happened in that movie by a long shot. So while we were kind of like shocked at the idea of bringing in this X-Men character, Patrick Stewart, Professor Xavier, that wasn't the biggest thing that happened in that movie. I have a feeling they're doing that with us here. And I mean, but just look at what this movie gave us. It gave us a much better look at the quantum realm. And if you'll notice over the course of the first couple of Ant-Man movies, it's like in the first movie, we found out that the quantum realm exists. Scott goes into it for just a minute. Maybe Janet is in there or not. We don't know. And then he comes back out. We just know the quantum realm exists. The second movie is when we actually spend a little more time in the quantum realm. It shows that it's expanded. It shows that you can actually survive in there, as we find out because they managed to pull Janet back out. It's like, so it expands it a bit more. This time, just from the trailers alone, we're seeing that there is an entire universe that is encased in the quantum realm that we haven't even touched in the MCU yet, or we barely touched in the MCU. So that's something I think is great about it. The other thing is that MODOK. We're getting MODOK. Yeah. It's like, and it looks cool. Now I know there's a lot of people saying that it's actually what's the guy's name? God damn it! I'm drawing a blank on the guy who played Cross.
I know who. I saw the name, but I can't remember. I know who you're talking about. That
a lot of people are saying it's him. I can't quite get because you actually see MODOK twice in the trailer. One of them, obviously, that one where he's coming up and he's got like his war mask on and the lit up eyes. But the other one is when they're walking into whatever they're walking into. You can see MODOK behind them with no mask on. A lot of them think that's Darren Cross from the first movie, the bald guy. I can't quite tell. It makes sense. I mean, story-wise, it makes sense. I can't quite tell. All I know is I don't care. I'm glad we're getting MODOK, and I hope that we're not getting MODOK just for one movie. I mean, I was always kind of bummed they didn't use Ulysses Claw a little bit more than they did. It's like, yeah, he shows up in Civil War for like 5 minutes, or no, Age of Ultron for like 5 minutes, and then he's in the first Black Panther movie. He gets whacked, and then we're just done with him. I'm like, wow, you didn't really use that really cool character as much as you could have. So I'm hoping we're going to see MODOK around. The other thing I like about it is the brutal strength of Kang. Like this movie, I mean, from the trailer alone, I think he may be so far there's potential anyway that he could be a more brutal bad guy than Thanos. Because if you remember, Thanos, he wants to do what he feels is the right thing. It's not that he necessarily wants to just snap away half of existence because it's going to make him feel all squishy inside. He's doing it because he feels like it's the greater good. Whereas I'm starting to get the from this trailer, I get the idea that Kang he's just a badass. He just wants to run shit. So there is no good in this guy at all. There is no positive thing he wants to do for the universe or for anybody. He just wants to be the boss. He wants to be in charge. The other thing about this, I get this. We don't really know. I know we're getting a fourth Captain America movie, but it's not going to be it's going to be kind of the first Sam Wilson Captain America rather than a continuation of the Captain America we've always had. So I don't think it's going to be a Captain America 4 as much as it's going to be just Captain America, the New World Order, and somebody else is taking over the shield. So that means 3 films for all these people, and that's it. And this is the third one, and it doesn't look good for Scott. I think Scott may actually die in this because there's going to need something. Because remember, right now there is no Avengers.
No more dying. No more dying.
You know what, though?
Oh, my God.
You know what, though? That kind of thing needs to happen, though, because I mean, think about it. There's big deaths can bring things together. It's like when Coulson dies in the first Avengers movie. That's the thing that happens that coalesces this group as a team, because it was a tough time getting them together, getting them on the same page. But then Loki attacks, Coulson dies, and Coulson dying was the thing that kind of bonded them together, that helped them kind of see through all their own bullshit and realize that there's a bigger thing that they need to step up and do. And so so a significant death could be what pushes this entire universe down towards what we know we're going to get with the Kang Dynasty.
Well,
I don't know. What do you think, Tex?
We had Captain America Civil War, but nobody dies. This has been the biggest criticism of Marvel. There's never any real consequence because nobody stays dead. And obviously now we live in a multiverse where you can have 500 different versions. So if there's no consequences to the fight, is it really a fight? So there has to be some sort of death, some sort of sacrifice by somewhere. And let's be real, if you're going to kill any of the Avengers besides maybe Hawkeye, Ant-Man would be next on that list of importance, really. I mean, at least popularity-wise. I mean, they even make fun of, Ant-Man in his own films by calling him Iron Man. He's so low on the totem pole. So I could see Scott Lang, passing in this film, especially with them playing the whole emotional angle of he missed time with his daughter and this and that. He knows that Kang is a bad guy, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to get back that time with his kid, right? But, just because this version of Scott Lang passes doesn't mean you won't see another one in Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty or whatever. But there's got to be consequences. Without death, the films mean nothing. So I'm excited for the film. It looks like it's going to be a real trippy movie. I've never really been big into the Ant-Man movies. I don't even think I saw the first two in theater. I think I caught them once they came out or whatever. But this is one that actually looks interesting, just based off of the trailer. Obviously, you mentioned MODOK. I want to see how somebody gets turned from a human into a gigantic head into a machine. I need that explained really well because I want to see how they do it. But, when we talked about the Marvels movie, I said that was a stepping stone to something bigger. Well, this is a gigantic leap to something bigger. If they put as many Easter eggs and, whatever in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, they can put a lot in here. We can get glimpses of the X-Men's world or, Fantastic Four or whoever. I'm still holding out for Doctor Doom. That's the one thing I want to see. Or some Ghost Rider. Either way, I'm cool. But they can do a lot with this movie. And, which version of Kang are we going to be dealing with? Are there multiple Kangs in this movie? Let's not forget, wasn't he in Loki season 1 as well? Well, wasn't there another variant of Kang in that?
It was at the end of Loki season 1. He was kind of talking about, he's like, look, there's been different versions of me. I've been around every single thing. I've done all this shit, and I've kicked ass in every single one of them. I'm like, yeah, this guy's no joke, man.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
when she killed him, she's like, yeah, it's like he even went out with a little wink, like, I'll see you again. Bye. I'm like, oh. I was like, I don't think. It's like we're all collectively like, oh shit. And she has no idea. And I guess she's just on a one-track mind. As soon as she kills Kang, I'm like, well, you don't understand what you just did, do you? Crap.
Maybe we see Loki in this movie. I mean, if Kang was in Loki's show, why can't Loki be in Kang's movie for
maybe Loki season 2 might give us something to
or Vision or Nick Fury.
We all want Vision. Anything
is possible. I mean, when you're dealing with multiple, realms like this is the Space Odyssey type thing. You can go many directions with it.
Well,
it looks trippy.
And now we finally have our, multiverse jumping character in America Chavez, so we could, who's maybe kind of got a little bit of a hold on her power now, at least. So now with that thrown in, at least now we have some sort of direction of, okay, now we're putting these little pieces together. This might be the next big thing we're going after. So,
you do raise an interesting point. How do we know we're not going to be seeing variants in this movie like we did in Loki? Because one of the things that occurred to me, because I was watching the trailer this morning, again, just to kind of make sure it was fresh in my head. And when it gets to that scene where Kang and Scott are fighting, and Scott looks at him and says, I don't need to win. I just need us both to lose. That's one of the lines that you would expect someone to say when he's going to, push them both off into the lava pit so they all die or something like that. How do we know that there isn't a variant of Scott that has managed to worm his way into the fray in this movie, and he's the one that sacrifices himself to save that variant of Scott and Cassie, or something along those lines? I mean, not that specifically, but something along those lines. I mean, obviously, because we see there's a clip in the trailer where Kang does something and then just makes a second Scott. So then there's maybe he can just create variants out of thin air. I mean, I'm not really sure about how it's going to go on the film, but I mean, maybe a Scott dies or multiple Scotts die, but the Scott that we have always known from the MCU is going to survive.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Marvel threw down the gauntlet with this multiverse stuff, and you can have as many of version you want as of whoever. So, you know, maybe prime Scott Lang, the one that we've seen from the last two films, survives, but you know, the other one dies. I don't know. But the thing that has me most interested is Kang is presenting Ant-Man with like, work with me and I'll give you back time. What is the thing that Kang needs Ant-Man to get, and why is it him? Like, he was a thief in the previous movies, right?
Yeah.
So obviously there's some sort of, I mean, heist that's going to take place in this film that only Ant-Man could do. So maybe the plot of, maybe that's the main plot of this film, because you see Michelle Pfeiffer. I forget who she plays in this movie. Janet something. I can't remember. Yeah, Janet Van Dyne. You know, she's like, you can't trust him, you can't whatever. And then, like, you know, obviously we know the way Marvel cuts trailers, one scene doesn't necessarily reflect on the other. Sometimes even the dialogue. But is Ant-Man, you know, wanting to get back that time with his daughter, and he's willing to do whatever it takes, even if that means working with the bad guy to help him escape or go steal a weapon or something, whatever, who knows. But you know, there's a lot of intrigue around this first trailer, and you know, I hopefully this is a fresh restart for Marvel, because we all know how bad Phase 4 was. So I mean, it's only up from here. It can't get any worse. Let's be honest. So,
like I've been saying, now it finally feels like there's some sort of continuity here of like, oh, we've set up this, and now we're actually talking about Kang. We're talking about the quantum realm. We're talking about other variants and other things like that. I'm like, okay, good, because it's like we went down that path, and then we just kind of went like all over the road here. And I'm like, well, now we're talking about it again. I'm like, well, okay, so I thought we were going with Kang and this multiverse thing, and then I'm like, why are we watching She-Hulk fucking do shit at a wedding that no one gives a shit about? Like, huh?
Right. For the last 10 years, we've known Thanos was the end goal. This is where we were going. This was the binding that tied everything together. And for the last 2 years or whatever, it's been over here and over there and over there and over there, you know. So, you know, I mean, I don't know a lot about Kang. I would have to look into him more to kind of study up, but the character's interesting. I will say that. So, I mean, like I said, I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but this movie looks, I'm glad that it doesn't have the comedic tone the previous Ant-Man movies did. It doesn't look like it does, at least, because that's one thing that kind of put me off of it. So hopefully it's a darker tone, a little more gritty, make it a little more, make the stakes raised, and, you know, hopefully it's good.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what this is going to bring us. I'm sure the comedy is going to be there. I mean, this is an Ant-Man movie, for crying out loud.
Right, and but it can't be all comedy like the other ones are, though. That's my point.
Well, it depends. Like I said, I think this is going to be one of the first individual Marvel films that is going to set the stage for the bigger showdown that is coming, you know, 5-6 years down the line. Because if you think about it, even like none of the individual Marvel films, up from Iron Man all the way up through Infinity War and eventually Endgame, I mean, they all had pieces. There wasn't one that really gave you a big, huge chunk of what the overall problem is. There wasn't a big, huge chunk of. I mean, the only one that really gave you any significant bit of Thanos outside of Infinity War was kind of the first Guardians movie. That was the first time you really get to see Thanos have any real dialogue. But that was just like one or two kind of broken scenes that just kind of, I mean, they were there and they were significant for the movie and for the overall stuff, but it wasn't huge. This seems to be huge. I mean, he's going to war by himself, essentially, with the one who's going to be the big bad for the next 5 years in Marvel, at least. So that's a different step for Marvel. It's interesting that they're doing it, and it's an Ant-Man who has not been the most popular character in the MCU. I mean, he's certainly not as popular as like Iron Man and Captain America, but I mean, he's been the comic relief, so he's not upper echelon MCU. He's not lower by any means, but
he's one of the most relatable ones. Let's be honest.
True.
To the average American.
He probably is the most relatable of all these guys because I mean, not everybody is a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. Like
everybody's had some type
Or a
of run-in
super
with the
soldier from
law,
World War
has
II.
an ex, has
Right.
a complicated work and personal life, and the first movie just he's an average everyday American.
Yeah. But I don't know. There's a whole lot to unpack in that trailer. But again, I mean, one of the things that comes to mind as I hear you guys talk is variants because we can remember, like Jeremy said, we've already seen Kang. We've gotten a good dose of Kang in the last episode of Loki, so we're going to be getting that guy, only probably way more vicious and way more brutal because that variant of Kang was probably a guy who was a little bit more on the level. This guy is obviously ready to just kick someone's ass.
When Loki went back to the TVA and then he looks over and he sees that statue of King, I was like, oh shit, it is on. And I'm like, I don't think you even killed the worst one of him. Like, this is not good.
Well, I'm curious to know how he got the scars over his eyes on his face. That's one thing I wonder if they're going to explain or not. Because I feel like there's a really good story to be had there. That was a major character that did that. So I hope they do that.
Well, when you got Samuel L. Jackson walking in there like a badass with a eye patch over his eye, and you're like,
it needs to be worse than a cat scratched his eyeball out. I'm sorry, that's
you
not.
think it was something cool? I'm like, it was a cat. Whatever.
Right. Can he not die and just go live on the moon base with Nick Fury and Vision and like just never?
How about we all just?
We know he's alive?
Forget. Okay, Cora. How about just forget fighting? We all give them pillows, and they just have a pillow fight, and then they have snow cones and go home. How about that?
No,
only men think about people having pillow fights. Women don't think about that. By the way, just saying.
She's lying. Don't let her tell you that kind of crap.
Not openly anyway. You can't tell me if the cast of Magic Mike got together and had a pillow fight. You wouldn't be like,
right. Don't jump on Miss Feminism when you're throwing around
a movie about feminism. Bad touch. Come on, man.
But I don't know. There was a whole lot to break. And also something that they didn't even really touch on in this trailer, they touched on the first one, is Bill Murray is actually, his character has been identified now. I forget the name of the character, but that's who Janet had Janet had a relationship or some kind of connection with when she was trapped in the quantum realm for all that time, which is probably one of the reasons why in the trailer she's so put out by the fact that she's sending a signal to the quantum realm. She's like, whoa, stop. You don't want to go back there. I know this guy back there and he's kind of a douche. So Bill Murray's character is obviously going to be significant to Janet's character as well. So there's going to be a couple different angles that this movie is going to come with us. I think that's going to be pretty interesting. But go down in the comments and let us know what you guys thought of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania's big trailer that dropped. A whole lot of big reveals. MODOK, the coolest one by far. Do you think it's Darren Cross? They haven't officially confirmed anything yet, but I think it's a possibility that it might be. Go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys thought. Lady Cora, what's the next story we're going into tonight?
Well, the son of the late famed Italian director Franco Zeffirelli, Pippo Zeffirelli, what a name, is supremely unhappy with the $500 million lawsuit brought upon by Romeo and Juliet actors Leonard Whiting and Olivia Hussey, who claim they were subjected to doing nudity as teens under the direction of his Zeffirelli. It is embarrassing to hear that today, 55 years ago, filming two elderly actors who owe their notoriety essentially to this film, wake up to declare that they have suffered an abuse that has caused them years of anxiety and emotional discomfort. Pippo told The Guardian in a statement. Last week, Whiting and Hussey, now 72 and 71 respectively, filed a suit in Los Angeles County Superior Court against Paramount Pictures claiming sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and fraud after a nude scene was included in the 1968 film. Frank, is there a frivolous lawsuit? Is this a frivolous lawsuit, or do you think there is something here?
I don't know. It's kind of a complicated question. Because I hate to think that two young people were taken advantage of, whether it was last week or last century. But, I mean, taking all things into account, I mean, this article does bring up something interesting. Is that it said by Hussey herself that in Europe, sexualization of actors at almost any age was kind of par for the course. So for an Italian director to think the way that Zeffirelli thought, it's probably not. It's not all as weird as it may sound to us as Americans, because Americans, by and large, have always found things like sexualization of anybody to be kind of taboo, especially back in the '60s. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot to this. So now, something that jumps out at me is that Zeffirelli himself, who was accused of being reactionary precisely because he spoke out against pornography when he was alive. So I mean, was he really trying to go after some sexiness from these 16-year-olds when he himself was notably against pornography? Also, the girl Olivia Hussey, she worked with the director again in Jesus of Nazareth.
Huh.
So she worked with him again, and for 55 years didn't seem to care much about it. And now all of a sudden, she's like, "Oh yeah, I was taken advantage of, but I've worked with him before." Oh, not only that, but Whiting, the actor Leonard Whiting, actually attended Zeffirelli's funeral in 2019 when he passed away. So, and apparently there was never any bad blood. It's all very odd. Also, not to mention, Olivia Hussey also said that she had found the being on the set to be very low pressure and very, very freeing. So she, all these years, had been quoted in many articles and interviews as saying that overall filming that movie was a wonderful experience.
Sounds like a lawyer got in their ear and said, "Hey, let's get you famous again," like the Nirvana pool kid.
But that's the thing, is like, well, the difference between this and like the Nirvana pool kid is that the Nirvana pool kid never really had anything after that. Whereas these two actors went on to have careers. They went on to have rather successful careers. So the idea of, I mean, do they, and a $500 million, that's a $500 million, son. That's $500 million. If it was like a $10 million lawsuit, I might be like, okay, maybe they do think this, but $500 million, it's one of those obscene numbers that you look at it and you're like, why? It seems like it's more of an attention / money grab after this long. And this is one of the reasons why I always say it. I always tell women, I was like, if you are injured in this way, don't wait, go get help, go tell somebody, go right to the police, because the longer you wait, the harder it is to provide justice.
And you're not believed as much if you don't come forward right away.
Yeah, and then of course, and we're asking some of the same questions that I'm asking now. It's like, why wait? I mean, is this a money grab? Is this an attention grab? Is this nonsense? I don't know, but I don't know.
My only little devil's advocate to that is, I'm like, well, we're also talking about the entertainment industry. It's like, well, why did anyone wait so long to say anything about Bill Cosby or even Harvey Weinstein? It's like, well, you can't open your mouth. Like, who's going to believe you? And there's a lot of powerful people that could just shut that shit right down. Can you really do anything about it? And then it's all just kind of a controlling silence. However, I'm also on the other coin of like, well, so you went and did this. They're like, oh, they did this without us knowing. I'm like, oh yeah, you really just went there one day and filmed all that, and now darn, they got us.
You knew that was in the script. You knew it was talked about when they signed the contract for agreeing to take the role.
And like Frank said, I know as Americans it's a little different, but I'm like, well, tell me you've never been anywhere else in the fucking world without telling me. Japan's over here like, hold my beer. We advertise this shit out in the street like we don't care. I'm like, I know they don't. And especially like he said, especially over in Europe and places like that. That's a very, pretty centric thing that they do. It's all part of the art form. Like,
I have to say, when I read this, it came to mind Brooke Shields and Blue Lagoon. I actually had to Google just now. She was 14 when it was filmed, but they used body doubles for when she was topless. But there is the illusion when you're watching this movie that a 14-year-old Brooke Shields was topless in the movie. And, it makes you wonder about minors and nudity in film. And I think it's a generational thing. I think nowadays you would not, you wouldn't see it today. And I think people need to respect that. I how do I say this? I'm a fan of Mad Men and understand, even as a woman in modern life, that it was a different time then.
That's what I'm saying.
Women were treated differently. We're in a different time now. So I think it's very unfair to go back and say, well, these are the standards now, and I'm going to judge the past on standards that didn't exist then. And I think that's what this is.
And it's even like, just go to the horror angle. Like, I know, they'll appreciate. It's like the end of Sleepaway Camp. It's like, obviously the actress that played the girl was underage, but that was obviously not her at the end of the movie.
Alyssa Rose does not have a penis, I promise.
Well, yes.
That was not her.
The obvious, oh my God, she's a boy. No shit. But I mean, that obviously wasn't, there was some dude who I don't blame for remaining unnamed.
No, he's unnamed because literally the guy he was just a guy who was around the filming location. They said, "Hey, do you want to make $200?" And they got him in there, told him to drop trowel and put a mask on.
Well,
that's how they got that shot.
I know, but it's also that he was just like, he apparently just had he just did not enjoy doing that. I don't know. And just say, "Hey, put this girl's head on your face and just stand there," and that's freeze frame. That's the end of the movie. And that's your big bomb drop. But I mean, I think even obviously at the time they couldn't. I think they tried to get permission, but like, the lady now, she seems so cool. She's like, "Oh, I would have done it. Hell yeah, I would have done it." I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh yeah, Felicia Rose.
Like, I would have just put that shit right on and gone for it. I'm like, "Yeah, I know you would."
She's a horror icon. There's no way around it. No.
Yeah, she's a pretty.
But that's the problem with this thing is, okay, nobody on this show or anybody else that I would ever associate with is okay with the minor sexual things. That's disgusting, gross, and anybody who's into that needs to be hung by their toenails and beaten to death. But
at minimum,
yes.
Yeah.
But that being said, this is to me, this very much screams the whole Me Too thing that Hollywood had a problem with. For years, Rose McGowan and all of her Hollywood celebrities who were profiting off of their sexuality. Let's just be honest. Go look at Rose McGowan in Scream 1. When she's wearing that tight sweater with no bra, what she's going for here.
I was thinking, this wasn't accidental. She could put a machine gun on her leg, and I'm like, yeah, I'd still do her.
Right. I mean,
I don't give a damn.
While we're in our prime, we sell and profit our sexuality, which I have no issue with. But once we're not popular anymore, now we can go from the other side of it. Now, I'm not saying, like with the Cosby thing and the Weinstein thing, that it's good and it shouldn't be justified. But, this movie didn't bother you 20 years ago. You didn't sue then. You didn't want to be relevant then. But now when you're seeing the rise of, yesteryear Hollywood, the Jamie Lee Curtises and whatnot, getting to come back. Well, this is a way for the actors and actresses in this movie to do the same thing. This is getting their name out there. This is making them famous again. I'm not saying that they didn't feel a little awkward when they did it and it wasn't right because, as y'all said, this would never be done today. Thank God. But, to me, this just screams some ambulance chaser got a hold of them, like Cora said, and said, "Oh, hey, we should, even if we don't win, we might get some pennies on the dollar here, or at least get you a little bit of fame, and maybe we make some money on this."
The clickbait alone. We're talking about them right now, aren't we? I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. We're doing the work for them here. We're advertising them.
Well, we don't get paid, but yeah.
Well, okay, charity, whatever you want to call it.
I know.
But,
whoever
it's
their lawyer is a sleazy lawyer. Just saying.
Well, that's the thing.
Lawyer.
I'm not saying that it's right to do what was done because it shouldn't be done. But if you felt so wronged, you wouldn't work with the man again and go to his funeral when he passed. Yeah, you're not going to do those things. No,
you know what I'm saying? The ones I kept saying, it was like, "Oh, they did this and put in without us knowing." I'm like, "Yeah, Dan, you went to set that day," and they're like, "Yeah, take your clothes off. We're going to do the scene. There's cameras everywhere, but we just caught us by surprise." I'm like, "No, you fucking didn't. Shut up."
Right. I mean, like Harvey Weinstein was brought up. How many people thanked him directly in their celebration speeches when they won an Academy Award or an Oscar or a Golden Globe or whatever they happened to win? They publicly thanked him and hugged his neck when they won. but now that they're not popular, he's the devil. And obviously we know he's a piece of crap, but it makes you look not credible when for 20 years you were, oh, he's a good guy. He's a solid stand-up dude. Until you're the shoe's on the other foot, and now it benefits you to attack. So this comes off in very bad taste for me. I wouldn't give him a dime if I was the judge here. I'd throw this out. This is frivolous lawsuit to me.
It seems a little weird. It's like the whole thing with the Friday the 13th game, which unfortunately died because the original guy who's like 187 years old who worked on the original movie is like, nope, I stole the rights to all this. Screw you.
Actually, that can come back though. That can come back.
But it's still dumb that like after all this time and they got the game made, which they had to have said something to somebody like, hey, we're going to use this and make a video game. And they're like, yeah, okay, sure. And then once it's made, then now you're suddenly like, ooh, it's gaining some steam. I can get some money out of this, and I can shut them down. Like, oh, look, I made all this stuff, and I own it. It's like, dude, come on. Like, just why are you being this way? It just seems a little weird. And like you said, I'm sure that's not. It's probably awkward. And again, it's the 60s. It's a different time period.
Well, you can't judge.
I'm just saying
yesteryear by today's standards. That's not fair.
I'm not saying
you can't do that.
I know. It's like, yeah, we I'm talking about the atomic power. Like, yeah, we bombed somebody twice, but I mean, you did poke the bear first, to be fair. But I'm just saying we don't just start throwing nukes at each other. Like you move past it, so you learn from it. But because otherwise we get giant and radioactive ants.
Somebody that we talked about on the last show, William Friedkin. I mean, I brought this up last week on the set of Exorcist to get a scared, realistic, shocked look from Linda Blair. He fired off a shotgun right next to her behind a wall, so to get that spooky look on her face. They'd never do that today. The lawsuits would be out the door, and people would be having people's necks. So you can't judge the past by today's standards. It doesn't work.
When they used real skeletons in the pool and Poltergeist.
And Poltergeist, yeah.
I'm like, well, that was something we probably shouldn't do, but hey, it worked.
Hey, I support anything that Tobe Hooper ever decided. He directed Texas Chainsaw. That man can kill somebody, and I'd give him a pass. That's a different podcast. So.
As long as it's on camera to record for a movie, it's okay.
Yes, as long as it's on camera, I support his decision.
They were just throwing up. They were just throwing up in between takes. It's fine. They got the movie done.
Yeah, one of the things that stands out for me in this article as I continue reading is, and I wonder how this is going to be used ultimately in the trial, is there are literally, from what I'm reading this article, hundreds of interviews that these people gave over the years saying that the experience on set was a great one, thanking the director, Franco Zeffirelli, for everything that he did, maintaining a great relationship with him, working with him again after that. Is that victim? I mean, is that how a victim really acts? I mean, because it's one thing to say, I didn't like that experience, I'm not going to work with that director again, then you never work with that director again. But when you keep going back, I mean, and yeah, there's going to be people out there that say, yeah, well, sometimes the abused in a relationship will continue to go back to the abuser because of whatever reasons they have. But I mean, it's like but they have a clear chance to just walk away from this person, and they never did. They kept going back. You could have said, no, I don't want to do this movie with you because I didn't like, because of the experience last time. Even if you don't say it publicly, you can say it behind closed doors. They just never did. So I think the constant interviews over 50 something years where you're talking about how great it is, that's got to be something that can be held against them in court. Tex, do you think?
Well, to kind of use as an example here, once again, Texas Chainsaw Massacre '74. Tobe Hooper, when he directed that film, he was literally a slave driver on the set of that movie. Go back and look at interviews from the stars of that movie. Sally, I forget her name now. I forget who played Sally, but the main star of the film was horrified by the conditions and the settings and how they were treated, because I mean, Tobe Hooper literally, he wanted that to feel as real as possible. So for decades afterwards, they talked slanderously about Tobe Hooper the way that was done. So they didn't come out publicly endorse like the couple in the film that's married. I'm blanking on the names here. Either way, it doesn't matter. The man from that couple, he was a New Yorker, but he was partially in Texas, partially in New York. He saw the 74 Chainsaw in the theater up there, and once he saw the reaction from the crowd and how vicious they were, he completely disavowed the work. He wanted nothing more to do with it, and he never did horror again. So if the stars of that film could do that, why did these people in this movie praise it for 50 years or whatever? And then just all of a sudden, now that we're old and need money, we're going to throw out a lawsuit, And I'm not saying you can't change your mind over the years, but you do not seem credible whatsoever when we've got hundreds of interviews and everything else that you praise the man and the movie. But now all of a sudden it's a problem. That's why the Me Too thing ultimately failed. That's why whenever a celebrity is accused of rape and then 30 other women come out of the closet, they don't get believed because you don't have credibility. And this is what this is. None of this holds water for me. Like I said, should it have been done? No. But it is. It happened. You praised it for all these years. You made your bed. Now you got to lay in it. There's no way around it.
Because the only person from Texas Chainsaw that really kind of changed her mind over the years was Terry McNeil, when she didn't know they did that. I mean, it's an iconic thing, and they do it in all the other movies where they do that real low shot, like right underneath her ass as she goes into the. And she was like, "Oh my god!" When I saw that in theaters, I was like, "Oh, there's just my ass right on screen and Technicolor and CinemaScope." But she was
that's the problem, though.
But now she's kind of softened up to it. She's like, "Oh, I love it. Put it back in the movie. Keep it there." I'm like, "Yeah, she just laughs about it now." I'm like, "Right."
If this lawsuit were to grow and get legs, this is a problem with cancel culture and this politically correct nonsense that we live in. If we let this have its day in court, which movie's going to be next? Are they going to go after some old Disney movie for being racist or some whatever? You can't judge yesterday by today. It's not a fair. It's apples and oranges. This doesn't need to go anywhere.
I do appreciate. I mean, it's weird when you see. I don't know what movie I watched on Disney Plus, and it was one of the older Disney movies. They obviously probably added this in. It was like they even disclaimer a little bit like, look, you got to understand this was not made last year. This was made 50 years ago. It's like it's a different time period. It has subjects in it that may be upsetting, but again, you have to understand when this was made, and it was not done out of any sort of intention. And obviously, we don't hold that ideal now. And I'm like, yeah, it's just a movie. You just even and something that was already in the movie was the old Mr. Magoo movie. I say old, but from with Leslie Nielsen. They even had that in the movie itself, like just straight up talking about like, hey, we understand this is not how you should treat blind people. It's not how it should. They say it flat out, and then they're like, okay, let's watch a movie now. It's like, just have fun. But it's like they don't mean any intent like that behind it.
Well, dude, last night I was watching old episodes of Married with Children, just on regular TV. And before it aired, there was a little banner, just like that's on your screen right now. And it says, warning, this is airing as it originally did or whatever. So even on Married with Children, something from the 90s, people are so sensitive now that we have to give warnings about this stuff. I mean, if you're watching Married with Children, you know what you're watching. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Accept it and deal. Not everything is, it's disgusting.
Me and Frank talked about that when we reviewed Airplane. It's like even that, like those, I guess you could say kind of what happened to parody movies. Like we kind of had them again in the early 2000s-ish with like scary movies and Not Another Teen Movie and all that crap. It's like, yeah, okay, kind of funny, and it's just poking fun at stuff that's going on, but it doesn't quite hit the same way as those ones back in the 70s and 80s. I'm like, yeah, when you have like the OG, the only probably good time SNL was good when it first aired, honestly.
There were some times like in the late 80s, early 90s that were pretty good. Like Dana Carvey and
it fell off, is what I'm saying.
I agree.
Well,
but we're like you couldn't get away with doing something like that now. Like I said, you couldn't make Airplane like today. Like there's no way in hell.
Well,
and it just sucks that people can't just. I don't know. I'm in that younger generation, but I'm like I find that movie absolutely hilarious. I'd watch it any time of the week. But
to kind of give a little scope to this though, and Terrifier 2 that just came out last year, Lauren Lavera. She plays Sienna in the film. Well, there's this, she's the final girl. She's the pretty girl that stars in it, right? Well, some, it wasn't even a big movie reviewer. I forget who it was, but they did their Twitter review, like, their quick thoughts. There's one scene in the film where, and Lauren Lavera is like in her 20s. She's older. So she's taking a shower before she goes to the Halloween party. Well, you see like part of her butt and some side boob. You don't get nipple or anything. And this movie reviewer had criticized that. How do you have a slasher movie without nudity? Because the 70s and the 80s.
Oh, come on.
This is fair. This is a standard of the genre.
But if the actress doesn't want to do it, should she have to be recast because she doesn't want to? I'm asking honestly.
According to Roger Corman, yes, because he fired many women from movies that he did back in the day because they would not do nudity.
But here's the thing. Let's be honest. If you're saying it's an industry standard and you're going into these auditions knowing what you're auditioning for, I can't believe I'm saying this. There is an element of you should know what you're getting into and don't interview for it if you're not open-minded to at least maybe topless or whatever.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this shot Terrifier 2, it's from the back and from the side. So you get just enough side boob to know what you're looking at, and you get some
see more of that on the red carpet these days.
You see more than that with a normal bikini or swimsuit at any community pool. But Lauren Lavera went off on this guy and caused this whole gigantic Twitter tirade about how, we don't have to have female nudity, when there's 40 plus years of evidence that this is part of the genre. Think about if Friday the 13th didn't have the nudity that it did in those films. That takes away one of the biggest sellings of it. So we have to look at these things with the frame of reference of what they are. In a film from this, 40 years ago, the standards were different. You don't get to sue now when you had a whole career where you benefited off of this. And now that you don't have a career anymore, you're looking for your last big payout. That's not how this works. I'm sorry.
Well, that's where I think the 500 million comes into play. It's like, it seems like one of those numbers that's so obscene.
It's exactly what it is.
Aim high and you might get something lower.
They're going to be like, we're not going to pay you $500 million, but we'll give you 10 million to go away, because 10 million is the kind of, not that $10 million isn't a lot of money to anybody, but but that's the kind of thing that they can find the couch cushions around the lounges at Paramount. It's plenty of money, but we'll give you 5 million each to go away, and we'll cover your guys' legal fees, which at this point aren't going to be a whole lot because this thing just got filed like 2 weeks ago. So I can't imagine the lawyers put that much work into it yet. But it seems like that's kind of what it is. It's like, I'm going to ask for some obscene amount of money. We're going to settle for something that's a little bit. It gives me a little bit of pocket money, and then I'm going to go away. It seems like one of those lawsuits, which to me is stupid. But
it's a cash grab.
Is there even really nudity in movies anymore? As I sit here and think about it, 70s and 80s. You look at movies like Porky's. You look at movies like some of the horror movies.
There is some things more like HBO series, like Game of Thrones and stuff. Not so much movies.
True. Well, on the premium channels, HBO has always had kind of their weirdly exotic kind of way of doing things for some movies, for some productions, but. You don't. Even because you would have expected to have seen something like that in like an American Pie movie back in the late '90s.
Oh hell yeah!
But even then, they didn't really. That's exactly. That's exactly the kind of movie that you would have expected to see a little bit of nudity, or at least a little bit of toplessness, and it's not really there.
She has really pretty hair. She has really pretty hair.
Oh, her hair is voluptuous and
beautiful.
I love huge hair. Her hair is huge. It's great.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, do they even do honestly, I can't remember the last time I saw a topless scene of a woman in a movie after Swordfish. When Halle Berry's topless for half she's topless in that scene.
Hold on, what was that one with fucking Alexandra Daddario and Woody Harrelson?
True Detective. True Detective season 1.
But again, that's Showtime though. The premium channels have always kind of managed to do it and kind of get away with it.
Oh yeah. Well, because I was thinking Texas Chainsaw. That was some faith.
I gotta go rewatch that now.
Well, I'm looking up an article.
He's gonna watch it on mute. Is what he's gonna do.
It has what the best movie nudity of 2022.
I gotta go, y'all.
So I found an article that talks
I
about the
can't
best,
make a Firefly joke.
She's trying to talk. Let her talk.
the best
Texas
the
fucking me
best movie nudity of 2022, and there's a Hulu movie called Good Luck to You, Leo Grande, Lady Chatterley's Love from Netflix, Men, something on digital, no idea, Mothering Sunday on digital, Pleasure Showtime thing, The Northman, I remember that did have some nudity in it, and that's a very smallly recognized one. So you're right, Frank. I mean,
Well, it depends on the genre. Because
I
I
think
can
there
tell you
is, but-
many newer films that I've seen that have nudity in them, but they're all from the horror genre. And that's just, it's one of the tropes of that genre. It's sex sells. That's part of it, you know. And now
what would
mainstream,
happen if
maybe
it didn't
not.
have it? Do you think it would have less views, or people would just denounce
Yes,
it as
it
proper
would. It
horror?
would have a big. It would have a big. It would have a negative effect on it because that portion of media within the film realm, the eye candy sells. That's why in Chainsaw 74 you had the tiny short shot where they're pretty much zooming up like it's a gynecology exam that they're so close with the camera. It's one of those things.
And the trope is, you have sex in a horror movie, you're gonna get slashed. So
right, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Not every horror movie has nudity, but more of them do than don't. Is what I'm saying.
That movie Babylon from 2022 evidently had some toplessness in it.
I don't doubt that at all.
Okay, well, hang on a minute, Corey.
Evidently had nudity, that horror movie, but you said horror counts. So.
Pearl did not. X did. X, the one that came before it. X had a lot of it in there. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, what about Magic Mike? What about Magic Mike with all the mail?
I just found it interesting.
It's in there too.
There's a lot of objectification, Cora.
I just found an interesting link from.
You can't be sitting here getting mad with some girl who looks at her titties and then gets her head cut off.
Let her talk.
I just found a really cool link. I put it in the chat. It's basically feature film, female full frontal nudity sorted by popularity ascending, and it has the list and it shows you the year they were made. So that Barbarian had it. It's all IMBD, so DB. I put the link in the chat if anybody's curious. So there are a lot more than I realize. But
yeah, I mean, that's right. Casey has been kind of quiet. You just gave him something else to do, so.
Well, it's just a list. It doesn't show the pictures, Casey. This isn't a porn site.
It's a gateway.
To be fair, it's not like Casey wasn't already looking at it tonight. Let's be fair.
It's not like he doesn't have Pornhub bookmark on his browser anyway.
I'd be willing to bet he's in the lifetime membership club of certain hub sites, if you know what I'm saying.
No, he's an OnlyFans super patron.
Yeah,
he gets a super badge like Facebook gives you if
you're
really active in a group. Like,
right.
You get the splooge badge.
I don't know.
Oh my god, the splooge badge!
It's like those little ribbon ones, but that's just white.
No. Instead of getting a thank you tote bag like from the NPR people, he gets a pair of socks.
I have no issue with nudity in film. For anybody who's a Monster Vision or Joe Bob Briggs fan, and you watch The Last Drive-In, you would know that Darcy the Mail Girl, his sidekick on the show, was a former porn
hair.
star.
She has beautiful hair.
Oh, her hair is tremendous. It's just as Cousin Eddie would say, it's real nice. But Darcy the Mail Girl, she's a former porn star, and she has a cause of free the nipple. Basically, they encourage nudity in film, whether it's female, male, whatever it may be, and I have no issue with it. It's the human body. Yes, American culture for so long, don't be naked, don't do this, don't do that. We see it everywhere. I mean, if you go to the beach, you see more nudity than you would in most movies, if we're being honest.
Even in its simplest terms, in Europe, co-ed bathrooms are common. Even like just for bathrooms and in some health places where people shower, men and women use the same locker rooms in other countries. And here we are just hyper modest, hiding under hyper modesty, but being freaks underneath. And there's this, dichotomy of what we are and what we say we are.
Sexuality is part of life. Why are we making it taboo? I've never understood that. Go ahead.
I'm not trying to get political, but there's a huge Christian movement in this country to try to make culture all about religious values. And they're literally preaching it in Congress that Christian nationalism should literally dictate our laws in this country. And culture is a part of the laws reflect our culture. And this country is a different country than that, in my opinion. And freedom to be topless should be something that people have the right to do if they want to do it. I'm moving to Vegas. There's Fremont Street and parts of Vegas where women are topless and they're only required to have very, very little coverage, literally over their nipple. I don't care.
I know where I'm moving.
If they wanna show it, show it. If you don't want to look at it, don't look at it. It's as simple as that.
So much for separation of church and state. Jesus Christ.
It's going away, but that's for another conversation on another show. But the point is, in movies, I think movies, there are ratings for a reason. Follow the ratings. If you have kids,
you should know what's in your. Yeah, it doesn't. There was some girl that they interviewed. I think she was in like France. Ironically of all places, and she was just like, she's like, I don't understand what it is. Why in America things are this way? Like Tex was saying, like, we do these things like this, and it's like, because we're not like, we understand that's a part of just being a human being, and we're just like, she's like, that's just so wild to me to even think that they do that over there. I'm like, I know, I wish. This is why people hate us. You know what I mean? I'm sorry.
And then we go over to Europe and are in awe of the difference. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. It's squirrel moment. I'm sorry. So
Get the graphic.
Put it on screen. Squirrel moment brought to you by Lady Cora.
So I have dogs. I've always had dogs. And I was traveling in what we call the Columbia Gorge. It's this really beautiful area of Oregon, right outside Portland. And there's a beautiful river, and there's all these parks and campgrounds that run along it. And I was looking for a place to take my dogs to run. And a friend of mine thought it'd be really funny to surprise me and say, go to this place, because they knew it was a nude beach and people regularly hung out there. Like, lots of nude people like to go there. I didn't know it was a nude beach. So I'm taking my dogs there. I'm on a road trip from one end of the gorge to the other. And I come around a corner and there's some very old looking testicles, very out in the open.
Old looking testicles.
With my dog running around. And I'm like, where the fuck?
And things need a tourniquet. They're so dragging so low.
I'm not kidding. It was one of the most awkward moments, but I didn't care. But it just was a shocking moment. And it's like, I caught myself going, it really isn't that big a deal. Just go turn around. And it makes you wonder,
Oh, it wasn't that big of a deal, so it was cold that day? Is that what you're saying, Cole?
You said they were down there, man. That might have been kind of warm.
The point is, we're so, even if you don't care that much, it's still shocking sometimes because we live in the culture that's hampered by these expectations and limitations. And I didn't care that he was naked, but it was so shocking to me. And I wish it wasn't. I wish that tendency wasn't there instinctually. I don't know if that makes sense, but I wish we lived in a culture that wasn't quite so restrictive like that. So
just like we're talking about with the 60s, with the hookup culture and the swingers shit.
Just a production note here. I'm gonna put this up to vote here, Frank. Can we get elevator music when we have a squirrel moment brought to you by Cora? So as she's doing it, we have like elevator waiting music, because that would be really cool if we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just a suggestion, not a necessity, but it would be really funny.
Well, you should make it loud enough so people can't hear me, and then it saves you guys having to listen to me.
Ooh, I ain't mad at it.
I can work something out, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, this does feel like one of those things where I'm going to ask for an obscene amount of money because hopefully they'll settle out for a couple $1 million. I'll make a few bucks for whatever. It's sad. I mean, and if what this is, if this is them trying to bring light to something they think hasn't gotten enough attention, I mean, what story involving Hollywood that doesn't involve actual movie stuff or entertainment stuff has gotten more press the last 4 or 5 years than misbehavior by certain people, be it Cosby or Weinstein or whoever else? I mean,
Right.
that's been the biggest story in Hollywood for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, that's one of the things. If there is a silver lining to what was this pandemic, was that there was no news coming out of Hollywood for 2 years that could drown out this noise. You had to face it. There was literally nothing else to talk about in Hollywood for 2 years. So this wasn't something they could walk away from or kind of obfuscate or try to beef this story of this big release up and make it a bigger story than that. You had to face it. So I don't even know if that's a good enough. I don't even know if that's if that's a good enough excuse for them to come out with this now and not look like they're just chasing the almighty dollar. But I don't know.
I have a
Obviously,
theory, Frank. I
yes,
have a
what's that?
theory. I have a theory. They're in secret, very beginning talks with Netflix or some documentary group that are on the fence
Ooh.
about doing a project with them, talking about their experiences years ago. And this silly little blurb in the news will give them enough of a spike in interest that it will seal the deal on whatever they're trying to get going.
I mean, it's the story of Romeo and Juliet, though. I mean, I'm really goddamn shocked that they fell in love in like 2 days and then died. You can't tell me they didn't bang each other at least once.
Right. You know, at some point,
of all stories, we're talking,
and they were.
We're talking about Romeo and Juliet,
as they say in the great state of Texas.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. This could be about a lot of different things, but the way it's just being portrayed, at least in the article that I saw on Fox, that it really does feel like a money grab. I don't understand why you would behave the way that they behave for 55 years, and then all of a sudden now, just be like, oh yeah, oh by the way, this whole thing that I said was a wonderful experience for half a century, that I spent half a century saying was great. Oh, now I feel like I've been victimized by it. I want $500 million. It's just, it's silly to me. I don't get it, and I'm
calling shenanigans.
But there is something about it. I wouldn't be surprised if a year from now we heard that this either got settled out for an undisclosed amount, which is probably much less than what they wanted.
Tuna sandwich at Subway, just saying. A tuna,
never hear about it
Subway
again.
gift card.
Yeah, this is going to settle out of court. It's going to get page 6 of the lifestyle section when it does. It's not going to be bigger news now than it will be than this story is now. I don't know. All this sounds odd to me, but whatever. Once you get to be 70-something years old, and you're not exactly getting the leading man and leading lady roles anymore, I suppose you reach for whatever ring you can get your hands on. You know what I mean? But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Is there anything to this lawsuit? Is it frivolous? Or are you siding with the actors on this? Also, I do want to point out something that Cora said very early on in this discussion, that Pippo Zeffirelli is one of the perfect Italian names. Can you not just imagine like Vito Corleone walking in the room and saying, "Hey, this is my cousin Pippo Zeffirelli"?
I wonder if he did any Giallo horror films. I'm gonna have to
Pippo
look
sounds
that up
like a
and see if
dog
he
name.
did.
Let's be very honest. It's a dog name.
Pippo?
I'm gonna Google him when I get home or when I get done with this.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. His dad is a pretty big director, so I don't know. Franco Zeffirelli was the director of the film back in the 60s. Pippo Zeffirelli is his son. I don't know if his son does anything with movies. I've never heard the name, but Anyway, go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think of the lawsuit. And Lady Cora, what's the last topic we'll be going into tonight?
Well, I'm excited because I get to talk about a movie that nobody wants to hear about. It's customary this time of year to make a resolution for New Year's. Whether you want to lose weight or complete a project, the new year gives us all a chance to commit ourselves to find ways to better ourselves in ways big and small. Tonight, we want to talk about ways that we are going to better ourselves as film fans. Jeremy, what New Year's movie resolution are you going to focus on in 2023?
Ah, shit. You picked the person who has the most boring, most generic shit to go first. Damn it.
I blame Frank.
Well, no, I mean, it's not going to be hard to follow me up, so, I mean, that's probably a better idea.
Oh, don't have an Eeyore moment. We love you.
No, it's not that. Because, I mean, I tried to think about this the past few days, and I'm like, I don't know, what would be like a movie's resolution, whatever, for this year. And I mean, weirdly, one thing I thought of was like, now that things are starting to kind of pick back up again, as we've been saying, as we move out of this from lockdown and the pandemic and all that crap, now things are starting to take the stage, as it were, and we're starting to go full steam ahead. Things are starting to get stacked, and I'm like, this past year, 2022, I was sitting there like, oh yeah, this is cool. I want to see this. Oh, I want to see this. I want to see this, and like, it just got so to where I was like, I just didn't really get to see everything I wanted to, or everything I was like interested in, or at the time it came out, or I got too busy. So I don't know. It's like I want to actually go out and see these things. And to be fair, good or bad, like I don't care. I will hate watch the shit out of Winnie the Pooh, and I will come on here and I will destroy it. We all watched Halloween. We all
They
came
did
on here
just
and shit
announce
on
that
it.
they're actually expanding the
I
release
saw
for
that.
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
That I'm kind of glad because I'm like I don't want it to be like in theaters for
Ka-ching.
2 days and then you miss it, you know, because that happened before. Where I was like, oh, I actually did want to see something, and then I didn't realize I was going to see it the next week because usually it's like that weekend and then it's for the next week and then something else. It was just gone.
Right.
Well, there went that. I don't even remember what movie it was. But like I don't. I feel like we, you know, let's come on here and talk about movies, good or bad. Just give it criticism. It's nothing's gonna escape criticism. Just saying. But I actually want to get to more of what we're doing. And again, this is gonna be a stacked year. It seems like so. Hopefully, I actually get to more of it than I was able to the last year. So, pretty generic, but I'll stick with that. It's my story.
Well, Tex, what about you? What's the New Year's movie resolution? Something you want to work on as a film fan in 2023?
I can make some suggestions for you, Tex, that I think would be good for you.
Please, before I say what it officially is,
If
I
she
would love
suggests Magic Mike, I swear.
what is
I
your
think-
suggestion? There,
I think
Lady Cora?
you should do a separate show that we pre-record and put on this channel of watching girly movies that you hate, but you have to find a reason to like them.
So you want me to get Frank kicked off of YouTube for excessive swearing and hate speech?
If you
We're
do
going to hire
that,
a censor, damn it.
if you do that, I'll agree to go to a MAGA rally with a MAGA hat on and interview people.
I don't even go to MAGA rallies. Why
I'm
would you?
joking. I'm
This hat's
joking.
gray. It's not even red today. Come on.
They're
He's
just
literally
fucking
in the
around
gray
with
area
you.
right now.
Well, either way, I value your suggestion, but it's in the suggestion box over in the corner with the other trash. So thank
Oh,
you.
you
for
mean
that.
in your bathroom in the toilet? Gotcha.
Yes. So, but no, what I want to do in 2023 is there's a lot of independent horror or lesser known films and directors that are putting good quality content out, but it never gets the light of day. And obviously I'm basically like a flashlight in the dark of how much I can highlight here. But I want to do my part to bring the show and everybody else.
Well, Cora, how about you? If you're done, Tex, I know you're having like a little audio thing.
Well, I got a few. So sit down. Okay. So number one,
We're sitting.
I am going to watch the whole series of Dallas, the first original 14 seasons, all the TV movies, and the 3 seasons of the new Dallas. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to watch an episode every couple days. And then I already have a list, but I'm going to sit down once a week and watch 1 or 2 of my favorite movies that I have not seen in 5 or 10 years and see if I still love them, or is it just like figure out do I love the movie or do I have some like memory tied to watching the movie? And then I can decide if I want to ever watch it again. So I'm challenging myself to rebuild and update my favorite movie list for 2023. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Those 2 things.
Expanding yourself. I get that.
Yeah, and one more thing, Tex will like this. I'm going to challenge myself to watch some scary movies more often so that I'm less of a pussy about watching things that make me have nightmares. Now, I still will not watch Jurassic Park movies after dark, but I am open-minded to trying new things when it comes to scary movies.
Oh, we'll make you a list. We can
Make me a list. Make me a list. Seriously.
We should probably like ease her into it. No, don't just be like, here, watch Terrifier right off the bat. Like, no,
Yeah,
hold on.
I'm not gonna throw
the brakes.
Terrifier and I'm not
Don't
gonna
make me
throw
go-
you right to the grindhouse.
Don't push me
but-
to a point where I need to go like sign into a psych ward for a week.
Well,
Yeah.
that
We'll
like I said,
start
that leads
slow
into
with her. We'll start slow with Cora. We'll start with Human Centipede.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've heard of that one, to be honest.
Oh,
it's a pretty.
It's like G-rated. It's like kids can watch it. You'll be fine.
You know,
but no, mine. Sorry, I was interrupted. Somebody called and I had to ignore them.
I heard that's what happened.
Yeah,
I want to.
I want to highlight more independent horror films, both the films themselves and the directors and the stars, because there's a lot of talent that we've obviously seen behind like the Terrifier series. Now you're getting like the Winnie the Poohs of the world. No matter what Jeremy says, it's a quality film. It will be awesome.
You haven't even seen it yet. Shut up.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be so bad, and it's gonna totally fuck kids' ideas of Winnie the Pooh when they.
There is a lot, like from Screambox to Shudder to everything else. I want to try to bring more recognition to that realm, because as the horror nerd that I am, I follow this stuff and I get access to it, and I enjoy it. Obviously, the mainstream stuff is always good, and we're going to talk about all of the screams and the whatever that come out. But I want to talk about the stuff that may not get covered. That to me is an untapped market. Yeah, the underdogs, the independent guys, the ones.
I got a channel name for you. Are you ready? Underdog Horror with Tex.
I know we'll workshop that. We'll workshop that.
I know it's shit. I just wanted
to say. But regardless, there's a lot that can be brought to light of not just talking about every movie that comes out, but the good stuff deserves its day. So that's kind of what I want to do here.
Like I was going to add to it, like I should also, go back and rewatch or also watch some old stuff that, I've maybe never seen, which is not, I know it's a somewhat narrow threshold, but I know it may come as some surprise to some people that I'm like, I haven't seen every fucking movie ever. I've seen a lot, but I haven't seen everything. I'm trying to take the damn price tag off of this, but like I just found this at Goodwill for like $7. There's like 50 horror movies in this thing, and some classics. Cool. Like I mean, there's
those are pretty cool. I've got a couple collections like that from like Walmart or the dollar store. Some of those have cool stuff on them.
I mean, this has even got stuff like the original Phantom of the Opera, Indestructible Man, Nosferatu, House on Haunted Hill. All of these I've seen.
It's a classic right there.
Yeah, and I'm like, there's stuff I've never even heard of. So I'm like, I will watch through these. Some of them are short. Some are from like the 30s. Even there's one that I opened up, just thumbed through it. It said like there's 1963. It was like 1939. Like it's great. And I got the one that's got all the classic like Universal monsters. It's got Dracula, Frankenstein, Invisible Man. It's all in one pack. And I was like, I've seen all the Wolfman. I'm like, I've seen all these, but I will sit and just watch this whole thing and enjoy the shit out of it. So I'm gonna expand myself a little bit here when I found this. I'm like, this is pretty sweet.
I'll dig it.
Yeah, as I was thinking about it, it occurred to me that I have been saying for a long time now, for at least the last year, that the horror genre has finally hit a spot to where it continues to improve little by little. We've got some people like the guys at Blumhouse. They're trying to take the horror genre to another level. It's not sputtering along like it once was for most of the last 20 years. They're trying to make good like horror movies with a great core of what good horror movies are. I've been saying for a long time now that the genre has been getting better, and now it's time for me to put up or shut up. I've got to watch more horror this year. I mean, because I was talking about this with Nick from Monster River Drive-In again the other day, and I was telling him the same thing I've been saying for a long time: is that low budget tends to lend itself to the horror genre. That if you can keep the budget to chainsaw, they made that movie. They made that movie.
Have you ever made?
Yeah, we talked about Hush the other day. $1 million. Huh.
Yep.
I mean, they made that movie.
The OG Saw.
Yeah, the OG Saw. $12. I mean, it's like
right.
Yep.
So what I'm going to try to do this year is I'm going to try to get out there and I'm going to find some of these movies that don't have the marketing budget that others might. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get on stuff like Shudder or some of the stuff that the streaming services.
We should all get a
Shudder
Shudder subscription and have a Shudder watch.
We should. That would be a bad idea.
That would be
like
sweet.
once a month.
Some of us are like lifetime members of Shudder. me right here, but yeah, it's all good. Y'all join the party.
Yeah, but I've got to get out there and find some more of this like the stuff that Tex was talking about. Some of the more obscure stuff.
I'd be down for it. No joke.
I really do think the horror genre is in a huge renaissance period right now, and I really want to take advantage of that because like I said, I've talked a bunch of times about how the movies like the original Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween. What makes these movies great and how they got away from what made those movies great and kind of gave us this dark ages of the horror genre, and now they're kind of stepping back and they're getting to what made those movies great. So I'm going to try better to find those movies and to try to find them so I can enjoy them and do what Tex was talking about, spread the word. I mean, be a part of promoting these low budget horror films because look, there was a small independent film that came out in 1977 that ended up turning the world on its ears.
Star Wars.
A lot of people don't remember that was an independent film.
Well, let's be honest. It's television, but the first season of Star Trek was a bomb, and in reruns and syndication, it gained popularity and came back again.
Well, Lucille Ball was a big fan of it, which didn't hurt. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, so small budget independent filmmakers who are trying to take a chance. They are the ones that are really carrying the film industry. They are the ones that look. Remember, Steven Spielberg wasn't Steven Spielberg until he made Jaws.
I was gonna say, let's talk about a movie a few years earlier in 1975. A young 25-year-old guy made a movie about a shark, and he thought this was the dumbest shit he's ever done. He's like, I was young and dumb. This is not going to be a thing. I'm like,
he read some book. He's like, I could try to make a movie out of this shit, whatever. And then we ended up getting Jaws, which many people think is one of the best scary movies.
And now there's a whole genre of shark movies that.
You say Spielberg. That's royalty in horror movies, whatever, in movies.
So yeah, I'm gonna try to go back to this genre. I'm jumping in with both feet, and I want to find more stuff to enjoy in it because I did enjoy it a lot when I was a teenager. Back when the horror genre was in the tail end of its prime in the mid-late 80s, and then it started to tail off, and then by the time the 2000s came around, it was just pure poop. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
I've preached the goodness of Terrifier 2 and the significance of it, but this isn't a resolution, more of a prediction. In 20 years, Terrifier 2 will be what Texas Chainsaw 74 is today. And Damien Leone will be the Tobe Hooper of this generation because that movie was huge. It was groundbreaking. It changed the ball game. And that movie will be looked upon as a holy grail in the future. So we're in the golden age of it here. And I'm excited to, as Frank said, dive in with both feet. It's going to be cool.
Wouldn't it be kind of cool because some of these are short? What if I just did like a movie a day and did a little short review on it?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Because, I mean, like I said, like what? There's 4 in a row here that are all Bela Lugosi.
Well,
there's Boris Karloff.
YouTube Shorts are a big thing these days for getting views into a channel. So if you did YouTube Shorts that Frank could post, that could be a thing.
Ooh, good job.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's, like I said, some of these aren't that long. I mean, 76 minutes, 80 minutes. This is just 12. I don't even know what order these are in. Thanks, Goodwill. I'll do just one. I'll just say, I Adam Age Vampire. See, just off the title, doesn't that sound fun?
Well,
screw it. If there's a radioactive vampire out there, hell, I don't give a shit. That sounds like fun.
There you go.
Brain off. Enjoy the shit. It's gonna bug
TSS2 has a New Year's movie resolution that he wants to share in the chat. He said, my resolution is that I would try to watch more films this year than last year. I didn't watch that many films.
Yeah,
well, the last couple of years has been difficult because not only did we just not have any movies to go see for a year and a half, with production schedules being completely halted, it's once they did finally open theaters back up, there wasn't anything to put out there. That's why for the first 6 months or a year, they were re-releasing things. You saw them putting classics like Back to the Future and E.T. in the theaters just to get people comfortable coming back and sitting in the same room with a group of people to watch a movie again. But now we're past that. And like I said, I've been saying it for a long time. I think John Campion mentioned this a couple of days ago on his channel. It's going to take a couple of years for the theater industry to kind of get back to what was normal before the pandemic. So it's going to take a couple of years. Just as you're comfortable. I know that some people still have some fear. As you're comfortable, go see a movie. Just get comfortable sitting amongst people and enjoying a show. And eventually, we'll get theaters back to where they once were.
And if you're not too comfortable, just wear a hazmat suit, and then you're there.
Hey, look, I don't like wearing masks, but if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. Look, if that's your thing, then do it. I mean, whatever makes you comfortable enough to sit there. I'm not. I mean, some people still want to wear masks. It's like, I think it's goofy and dumb, but I mean, if that's what gets you back out into society and dealing with people face to face again, by all means, do it.
Those theaters have really good ventilation. Let's be honest; they have really good ventilation. So
yeah. But let's see. TSS has an idea. He says, an idea. Every month, everyone watches one of the top 100 worst films. Which
I love it.
I was going to maybe throw in, like, I'll watch bad movies, too, on purpose.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
One of the girls
we don't even have to watch the
Talk.
same one, Frank. We could each watch one and all talk about the one we watched.
Like, I unironically love The Room, and I will talk about that movie till the fucking earth stops spinning.
So, I tell you what. Just for,
terrible on purpose, though.
Just for the channel and just for fun content on here. Once a month, I will let Cora have full control, and she gets to pick a movie that I have to watch and do a little essay about.
I'll do the same for you. We should pre-record it.
To be fair,
we each pick something. You pick something I watch. And
I'm down with that.
Okay.
I'm down with that.
All right.
You can torture me.
Yeah.
You can torture me. You can make me watch the girliest of girly Jamie Lee Curtis films where I want to blow my brains out. I'll do it.
And I do already know that whatever I pick, you're going to optimize your time by watching it while you're taking a shit. I'm not stupid. I know you're going to optimize your time.
One of the girls that was on Collider Movie Talk, I forget who, but she was talking one time on Movie Talk when Collider was still relevant on YouTube. That her and her friends would get together and they would do like let's find the lowest rated movie on Netflix and sit around and watch it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
I was like, that's not a terrible, because you never know. I mean, because look, there could be a movie out there that a million people find completely obnoxious and terrible, but you watch it, you're like, this is awesome. That's one of the great things is these subjectivity movies.
It's a great fucking movie.
I actually watched a video. I'll have to send it to you, Jeremy, when we get done here. I stumbled across it last night as I was getting ready to go to bed. It's just a whole montage of terrible acting moments, and like half this video was The Room.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the pinnacle of like bad movies.
But there was so many, and a couple of them are kind of like really famous scenes where everybody's made fun of them at some point.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Yeah, that scene was on there. Yeah,
that's got to be one.
There were some other ones that, I mean, a couple of them were from like the late 70s, like samurai pictures and stuff like that. And there was a couple from like really terrible graphics from like the early 2000s, from like in Zimbabwe or something like that. I don't know,
like Scorpion King.
Yeah. Oh no, they were worse than that. They were.
I know there's worse than that. I'm saying that's the thing we always make fun of. But
yeah, it's that was a funny video. I'll get the link. I'll text it to you.
I can't wait.
I'll enjoy that.
I can't wait to introduce Cora to the world of trauma films. This is going to be a lot.
I don't even know what that word means. What does that word mean?
Cora, anything we've talked about, do not Google. I'm telling you.
I have 2 words.
What does trauma mean?
Toxic Avenger, baby. Toxic Avenger.
I was going to say I have 2 words. Toxic Avenger.
Or I'm not even going to say the names I'm thinking of because I don't want her to Google them ahead of time.
No. I won't Google them. I will not Google them. Here, I'm going to take my headset off for 15 seconds. There you go. Needless
to say, Traumaville High and all, or Return to Trauma High and all of those disgustingly cheap movies. What's the chicken Return to the Chicken Dead? Did you ever see that one? They made it for like $30 and it's just disgusting to watch. So many of these trauma films. Oh my God, this is going to be fun.
Is Trauma a person?
Trauma is a low budget studio that they produce like James Gunn, the guys from South Park all got their start in Trauma Entertainment. If you've ever heard of Lloyd Kaufman, he's a movie producer that is known for just making the cheapest of cheap movies. It looks like they shot on a handheld camcorder, some of these movies. But they're people are like ride or die for trauma films. Like Traumaville is like a fictional town. Like you can buy T-shirts of and stuff. It's great. So
okay.
Yeah, Toxic Avenger is on one of the streamers. At least it was a while
Can I
back.
be
when
honest?
saw.
Tromo sounds like the name of an STD medication name you'd see in a commercial.
Troma has their own
Just
streaming
saying.
app. You realize
really?
that, right?
Do they?
Yes, they have
I
their own streaming
didn't
app.
know that.
Oh,
It's like $5 a month, and you can watch hundreds of movies on there. It's great.
That would be worth it just to watch Toxic Avenger once a month.
Yeah,
Yeah. That movie is a classic.
Should we watch that
oh,
movie
yeah.
I've never heard of? Excuse me, I've never seen that Frank swears by. Something Orange Clocks.
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange. You've never seen Clockwork Orange?
No,
dude.
no, I know Frank's talked about it a lot.
I bought a damn bowler hat, and I will put on a little eyelash. I said I would sit there
Do
with
you
the
have the
glass
codpiece to go
That's
with
our
it?
opening. No, I don't. I'm sorry. That's our opening. I just zoom
Should
out
that
of
be
me
our
and I'm
next
sitting there drinking them
retro
out.
review, Frank?
We should.
Cora, I'm not going to lie. I will tell you that you should watch any movie, whether you love it or hate it, just for the experience. That
It's gonna be
Is
a
this
little
one I should
uncomfortable
watch during the daytime?
That
Probably.
is one of the movies that, whether you watch it day or night, may fuck you up really badly.
It's
Like that movie.
So I should watch The Bachelor
I don't know
after it's over.
How
have a good
familiar
time.
are you with Stanley Kubrick as a director?
Nothing at all, really.
legend.
I'll be honest.
Did you? The only film I can think of that you've probably seen that he made was Eyes Wide Shut with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise.
Never
Have you
saw
seen
it.
that?
I heard
That
it was
was
a
the last-
stupid
The
movie
Shining?
about
Yeah,
sex.
you've seen
That's all I know.
That was the last film he made before he passed away, as I recall. He did do The Shining. The Shining was a film.
Hollywood killed him because he made Eyes Wide Shut. I firmly believe that, by the way.
I heard it was
he-
stupid because people had sex in it, and it was all about.
He was one of those people that was very. He was a very thoughtful person. This guy used to sit around in his free time and solve complicated math equations. Like his brain was just next level.
He was also big. He was also
big
into the conspiracy stuff too.
2001: The Space Odyssey, was the kind of movie.
Yeah.
was the movie
I know.
He did.
I know who he is. He's Q.
Well, he's Q from the QAnon stuff. Well, funny enough.
No.
Funny enough, Cora, Stanley Kubrick's daughter is actually a good friend of Alex Jones, and she's been on his show many times.
Hey,
Just
I
if
think
that
we're
helps
onto
you at
something.
all.
We solved the QAnon
Yeah.
mystery right here on Frank's show.
It was all Stanley Kubrick. But yeah,
he faked the moon landing, don't you know?
it's a really weird movie to watch. It to kind of give you a boiled down version of what it is. It takes place in this weird, like near future for when it was made in like the early 70s. Near future, not
Malcolm McDowell.
post-apocalyptic, but
Is
kind
this
of dystopian version of London.
Dystopian kind of thing where the world falls apart?
Yeah, and he's like the leader of this gang of idiots called the Droogs, and they hang around in a bar that serves milk laced with LSD. So they go to this milk
Do
bar.
people know there's
and they
LSD in it?
They what?
Do they know there's LSD in it when they're drinking it?
Yes. That's the whole
Okay.
idea behind this milk bar, is that people go there and drink this LSD laced milk. And there's like he meets these two girls in a record store, and he takes them back to I think he goes back to one of their places. I forget what it is. And they have a threesome that you see played at like 5 times speed. It's the craziest shit in the world. But there's going to be one scene in the theater that I think you might have a problem with. Like this might throw you off the
Cora, have you ever seen the classic movie Singing in the Rain?
No.
You know the song though, right?
Sort of.
I'm singing in the rain.
Yeah, I know that part. I don't know the rest.
That song is never gonna fucking be the same after you watch that movie.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Ruin it.
I don't even listen
Go
to
ahead
the
and
song.
have.
And the movie
Go
really
ahead
is
and
split
do
up
it,
into 2 parts too. Like the first half is when he's doing all the like he beats the woman to death with a giant porcelain penis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened.
Well, I have to say
No.
I have to say this. He gave it to her in every way he could.
Yeah, he did.
Well, it's
all about the size and how you swing it.
and the second half of the movie is when kind of everything goes wrong for him. It's like the arrested, torture. It's a very, very. I'll tell you what. This movie was banned in most of Europe until the early 2000s.
I'll tell you what. I have a trick for watching hard movie scenes and not having it bother me. I mute it and I just watch it. If I don't hear the sounds and the music.
One more suggestion though, Cora. How do you feel about animal activism?
I think PETA's stupid, if that's what you mean.
Okay, so like Are you one of those people that like you don't like
I'll
to
say
see
this:
animals
when I watched
harmed?
that movie, the Ron Burgundy movie, and they kicked the fake dog over the bridge, even though I knew it was a stuffed animal, I was mad.
Well, yeah, you're supposed
Okay. Well, that answers my question.
Even
If
though
that
you
scene
know
gets you
it's
mad,
fake, it still made me mad.
if that scene gets
That's
you
how he
mad,
rolls, man.
you're going to need to watch Cannibal Holocaust.
I was like, don't even. Oh my god! I was like, don't even say
What?
Cannibal Holocaust. You
You
said that.
better
I'm like,
make me a list in the chat thing that we use on
Yeah.
Twitter.
To be fair, I don't think because when I watched that movie on the one I have, it even asked you, do you want to watch
Just
this
say
with or
which cut
without?
do you have?
Yeah, I think I have the unrated one, like the original, but it asks you, do you want to watch it with or
To be
without
fair,
the
I don't think
cruelty?
anybody has the original because that film's
No.
been cut and edited so many times. There's no way to tell.
There's no
It's over
Snyder
there.
cut out there.
No, it's over. Didn't that guy, the director, just pass away recently? Or you?
Yeah, he died. He died recently. Okay,
Yeah.
Cora. Basically, Cannibal Holocaust was made in the 70s, and this film was so hardcore. People that he was almost thrown in prison in Italy because the director.
Thank you. I'm having
Yes.
another squirrel moment.
Yeah.
This is important.
Yeah.
You brought up Italy. Okay, so did you hear?
Cue up the graphic.
Joke,
Graphic.
because somebody Tex put it in our thing. You guys have to hear this. It hasn't come up on the show. I give Tex the credit. Michael Bay was actually
I saw this,
charged
yeah.
with killing a fucking pigeon in Italy. I'm not kidding.
Yep.
Tex found it. I thought it was fake. I thought he was fucking with us, so I googled it, and he said he wasn't lying.
Well, just like in
There
Shawshank
you go.
Redemption, they had to. What you
I
mean,
don't- I don't
Brooks
bring
fed
fake news, Cora. You should know this.
Hey,
the bird.
You do come from a red state, so I gotta check.
It's just like that. It's just stupid. They had to go and find a maggot that had died of natural causes so they could film Brooks feeding the little crow in his pocket. I'm like, that's so goddamn dumb. Really? Just.
Do you know what
He's a
Michael
bird.
Bay should do next time he does a red carpet? Put a fake pigeon on his head.
Oh, that'd be great.
That would be.
I
fucking
saved
awesome.
him. I
He
saved him.
should get like one of those magician's jackets and be like, the pigeon flies away.
Hey, you want to see a magic trick?
Right.
Oh goodness!
Poor assholes.
I know.
The bad man punted Baxter.
The glass cage of emotion.
Glass cage
You're
of
gonna hate me
emotion.
after. She's gonna hate me after she watches Cannibal Holocaust, but I love it. It's great.
No, there's things in that. Like I said, it asked me, "Do you want to watch it with or without animal cruelty?" And I was like, "I'll watch it with it." I'm like,
No, she
I know-
needs to watch animal cruelty in this, and that's the point of
That's what I'm
this.
saying. I watched it with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that wasn't even
Yeah.
what made me uncomfortable. I mean, there, if you know, you know, there is a part that
Yeah.
was kind of like,
Yeah, I know exactly.
It
Yeah.
is. As the
Yeah.
movie unfolds, you're kind of like, yeah, but you not this. Let me preface this before I get canceled off of YouTube. Holy shit!
You won't get canceled.
No.
You can just
When
go
I
to
was
Twitch.
about to say you deserved it, I'm like, not the person I was talking about. I mean, the people that you're following.
Right.
It's like a oh
Yeah.
crap, but then you realize what they did, and you're like, oh, you kind of had that coming. You guys are assholes.
Yeah.
But no, I'm like
I
there's
tend
scenes
to
in that
agree.
that were more kind of uncomfortable to watch. But Animal
Yeah.
I'll
Cruelty
just
was
mute
kind of
it.
just like,
If it looks like something else, I'll mute it, and then I have one less sensory association with it, and I'll get the idea of what's going on, but not listen to it. That's how I function.
I'll give you a hint. When you see a big turtle, you might want to mute it.
Okay, thank
Or
you.
when
I'll
you
do
get to
that.
the beach and the indigenous woman is standing there, that's going to be problematic for you too.
Indigenous.
When you get
Is
to
she
the
covered
theater
in
scene-
mud or something?
Oh, you'll find out.
When you get to the theater scene in Clockwork Orange, muting's not going to help.
No.
You may need me to identify the minute markers of that scene, so you just kind of like.
You probably should do that.
There is one that we haven't mentioned yet, which is a Serbian film, which I have not seen, thankfully. But
Oh my God, dude! That's even too much.
I don't
for me.
know. I don't
yeah.
know if I even want to see it. Rachel actually has seen it, and I'm like, I don't know.
I've seen it. I've seen it once. That is the only movie I refuse to ever watch again.
I think that's the one that does.
Why did
peak.
they burn a Texas flag?
Oh no!
No. Like we can't even
Think
talk
about
it
what
on
we
here.
talked about earlier. You don't do stuff to kids.
Oh,
That's
so
all
it's
I'm gonna
Fight Club.
say.
We don't talk about Fight Club. Got it.
This movie crosses lines
Yeah.
by miles. They jump. It's
So you would
the
never let your daughter see
psychological-
this movie?
I
No
won't
one
even
should see
own
that
this
movie.
movie. I won't even own this movie. Like
I'm
as
like
messed up as-
curious, but Oh, you own this movie. You're probably on a fucking list because there's no way to like.
As messed up as I am,
You're on the
Is
list.
this
if you
like, is
search
this
for
like
it.
being on a list for owning that book, The Anarchist Cookbook?
worse.
No, man, I don't.
This
Oh, wow.
a Serbian film. I would be perfectly okay if they erase this movie. Like, this is the only movie I'm okay with them canceling and getting rid of for forever.
Yeah, I
Okay.
haven't seen it, but I've been told. I'm like, I don't think I want to watch that either. Like, that's.
Is
that's
it
saying a
old
lot.
or is it new? I'm just
No,
curious
it's newer.
if it was
No,
made.
it's newer.
It's-
It's newer.
And maybe
Oh.
maybe 10 years old, maybe at the
Oh
most.
wow! So it's not something like from
It-
150 years
20
ago. Got it.
2010s.
This-
I'd say I'm afraid to Google it now
this-
to see the year. Like,
I
it's
mean,
for,
there
it's
is-
for research purposes. I'm a writer. How
So
long does it
back
take
to-
for a dead
so-
body to stink?
So Clockwork Orange. So we should do that as a retro review. That'd be awesome.
That would be.
It would be awesome, but I don't think you're gonna have a whole lot to get to say about the movie you're done.
Oh,
Like-
right on the dot.
well, is this
Serbian
one
film
where that
2010.
Rachel should be on for me and I just
There we
skip it? Because that would
I
be
was
the
2 years
wrong
old.
person.
Or 3 years old.
13.
I mean, I would say watch it because it's a
Okay.
very interesting film, but
Okay.
it's not easy to watch. I mean, it's
Um,
and you know what's crazy is I've heard the book is actually crazier than the movie.
Mm.
And
I've
the
never
book, I
read
think-
it. I don't know.
The book Clockwork Orange, I've heard is actually still illegal in some countries in the Mid-Eastern Europe.
What?
Look, you know what?
What?
Anybody can Google this, and there are two
No.
streaming services that Serbian film is on. I'm just going to leave you with that. That
I
information.
will never watch. I watched it once. Somebody told me about it, and that's the only movie I've ever watched where I felt.
Did anybody
sick
get their
after
career
watching it.
canceled over it?
I'm gonna,
No, there's nobody that was in that movie I've ever seen in anything else. Ever.
Okay, so nobody lost their life.
I need
their
like
life
a-
taken over it.
I need like a
Got it.
burner account so I can just watch it to watch it. But then
Yeah,
like, just
no,
delete
this
that shit.
like I
No.
said, I'm as against cancel culture as it is, but this movie should be criminalized and never be shown ever again. No doubt.
He's like a Al Pacino, and when they made that commercial,
burn
every
this,
copy
yes,
of this.
burn this, yes.
Burn it.
This
Burn
a
before
Serbian
reading,
film
right?
needs to be gone. And like I said,
Yeah.
I like that. I love the twisted, sick, and macabre. And if I'm saying this, that needs to tell you something.
The
Just
look
from what
on
I've
your
heard.
face is like,
No.
I wish this wasn't even ever made.
No, I won't do it. No.
I've heard of the
Wow.
movie. I've never seen it, but
There's
There's-
a mild curiosity, but I'm like, I don't know. Man.
I don't know anything
There's
about
one
it, so
se-
I'm not
well,
going to worry about it.
The ending of the film is the most problematic, and it's not good.
It probably
disgusting.
makes the site Best Gore, rest in peace, look like
It-
it probably
yeah.
makes that look like the Teletubbies. It's
and just for anybody watching, I'm not trying to build this up because it's so shocking.
no,
I'm
do
literally,
not do this.
You're
I'm
putting alarm
literally-
bells off. Don't look this up.
Yes.
Don't watch it. Yeah.
It's not reverse psychology. We're being straight up. Don't do it.
Right now, I'm Crazy Ralph and Friday the 13th telling you, don't go in them woods. There's nothing good in them woods. Stay out. Do not
You're
go
all
there.
gonna
Do not watch it.
die.
Yes, you're all
Don't go
going to
into
die.
the
Do not
don't
watch
go into the 100-acre wood, Christopher Robin. They
Yeah.
killed ER.
You can watch.
Do not go.
You can watch Winnie the Pooh 100 times. Do not watch a Serbian film. So
Speaking of,
Like,
we have to schedule the review for that because it's coming out soon.
we will. I'll like I said, I have already made sure that I'm taking the February 15th off of work so I can go see this. It's going to be a Fathom event. Like I said earlier, I think they have actually expanded the event, so it's going to be more than one day, but I definitely want to see it.
Right.
I want to be there. So it's
That'd be
opening
cool.
February 15th is a Wednesday, I believe. It's going to be the Fathom event. But I mean, there's probably going to be a couple more days other than that. So we'll see. But that seems like a good place to start wrapping things up. A nice little random thing at the end. I'm afraid that we may have, if Cora watches any of those movies, she may not ever talk to us again.
Oh, she will. I'm serious.
Hmm.
I'm going to pick one for her, and she's going to pick one for me, and she's going to piss me off, and I'm going to scar her. That's my job here. So
Well, what if I
Yeah.
pick one you like?
then I will be nice.
You'll
in
have
my
a
What
guilty
if-
judgment.
what
pleasure
if-
movie.
What if I? We'll just.
Yeah, see,
I'll be
there's
nice.
Rachel right there. Do not watch that shit. I told you. I was like, I could bring her in here for like 2 seconds and tell you, no, don't do that.
And it's all good.
Let's
I'm
go
not
and get
fussed
this.
about it.
Let's go ahead and get this wrapped up. I want to thank all my great co-hosts for coming to hang out with us today, as well as everybody in the chat for being so awesome. Rachel, Derek, Casey was in here for a while trying to chase some clout. Tour Capture was in here for a minute. BJ in here. Thank all of you for coming to hang out. We very much appreciate it. And to my great co-hosts, of course, like the Dower Chicanos Lady Cora, where can the folks find you on the internet?
Buying copies of Magic Mike, the last chapter for all three of you, and making sure it gets sent the dates released on DVD. Mic drop.
Hey, I mean, I can always use a new drink coaster or a frisbee for my dog. So go ahead. Do what you need to do.
How about you, my hetero life mate, Jeremy? What do you guys got going on the internet?
Well, obviously this show. Always this show. It's our little child. It's getting to be like a toddler now. I don't know. Just the terrible twos time, I guess. Yeah, so I'm here Thursdays, as always. Hopefully I'll dip into some of these fireside chats one of these times or something, you know.
Sure.
Or, whatever, we decide to do something random like on Tuesday, whatever it may be. It's also it's names down there, Grim Tuesday 23 on just about everything on Twitter, on Twitch, and on YouTube. I always try to throw him a bone. Brooding Gamer has got some stuff that that's good to share. I mean, I just saw my mom said something about like I will borrow them from me. I was like, no, you're not borrowing those movies. And she said Magic Mike. I'm like, okay. I wouldn't even show you that. Hell no. I wouldn't show anybody that shit. I almost derailed myself. Brooding Gamer's got some stuff since I mean, to be fair, the Jurassic World movies aren't really coming out, so there's no Steam, there's no new toys, new stuff coming out. So his thing is kind of like so he's like, all right, he's got some more ideas for some stuff. So
I like his Evil Dead idea that he had the other day. I like that.
What was Oh, right. I was like, wait, we were talking in the chat. I'm like, where the hell was he on the? Okay.
Yeah, no.
I was like, wait, I got you.
Yeah, he brought up doing a retrospective of the Evil Dead franchise, which I'm totally in favor of.
Yeah, I'm going with the new movie coming up. No, but I'll say this: there might be some ghost hunting going on soon. So be looking to his channel for that, because I mean, I'll be there. I told him I'll do you one better. I'll wear a Ghostbusters-esque jumpsuit when we go and do this shit. I don't care. It'll be awesome. You know
Don't cross the streams. So
right.
That's all I can
Spangler.
Right. Well, I was gonna
Egon Spangler outfit, son.
They do on Amazon. They do a thing where you can customize it. It looks exactly like the movie, the same font and all that crap, but you can put whatever you want. I'm like, I'll make one that just says Tuesday, and then I'll slap something on the shoulder. I'll get the belt and I'll put all the equipment on me. It's gonna be awesome. I gotta do the race dance. I gotta have the goggles on my head though, because that's just the coolest look.
There you
go. So there's that coming, and with he's looking into getting like some new equipment, like a better camera, stuff like that. So I'm like, well, let's get some more use out of this. Like I said, I am totally trying to plan to climb on top of my roof and do some Eddie Munson shit. So it's gonna happen. I'm telling you, like it's gonna be some cool stuff to film. That's for me personally. I mean, we got Sunday. What comes out Sunday? We got The Last of Us.
It certainly does.
I'm excited. I'm ready for it.
I'm a little upset. I'm like, I'm not even going to be in town. I'm not even. So that's gonna be.
I've been doing some looking into it and some studying, so I have a little bit of knowledge pre-game. So I'm liking what I'm seeing.
I do have the following Monday off of work, so I mean, I will watch it. Trust me, I will have the notebook. I'll be doing this.
Hell yeah.
And like I said, I'll play the game afterward. And again, I'll just play the sequel. I'll just try and do it because I wanted to do my own thing with like, okay, how we do movies here, I can do video games on my channel and do some sort of review or whatever with it. Right. Like I said, I got all the Arkham games on my PlayStation. I might replay through those because I'm obviously a Batman fan. If that wasn't obvious. Yeah, got some other stuff you can watch me be shitty at Call of Duty, stuff like that. I don't know. I might stick to some single player stuff because I'm like, well, I know I can handle this. I'm not going to get, crapped on by little Timmy, the Legend 27 on Twitch, whatever. Drop shots me. So, There's some cool games out there. Like I said, you guys would like Generation Zero, like late '80s, and it's not really post-apocalyptic, but everyone's gone. There's giant robots everywhere. I mean, does that not sound like an awesome premise?
I dig it.
So, and my character looks like Eddie Munson, weirdly enough, because I picked the metalhead as the starter. I'm like, yeah, that tracks. So yeah, that's what I got going on.
Jeremy mentions The Last of Us. I'm thinking either Tuesday or Wednesday night we'll break down the first offering from Last of Us. I'll have to settle that out over the course of the weekend, but I'm thinking Tuesday or Wednesday night. So keep an eye out for a post about something coming up for the first episode of Last of Us. Our
so happy
breakdown on this channel. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. And to our good friend from down south, the man from Texas, the Shape from the Lone Star State, my man Tex. What do you got going on, brother?
I've been doing my homework on the, like I said, the independent horror stuff. Looking, I've started it. I just don't want to just jump in and just watch anything that comes out, but I want to try to find the best to highlight it. It's @/Vision on Twitter. You can follow me there. I don't really do anything, but hey, come be my friend. I'm a nice guy. You can like me.
He shares cool stories.
Yeah, I share cool stories, and sometimes I piss people off and I cause arguments. That's what Twitter is for, people. Is that not the
That's what the internet's for?
But yeah, so no, I'm just hanging out here, and occasionally I go hang out with that Casey guy, but I'm not going to promote him here because over here we time him out and make sure he knows his place. So
well, over here we have class, okay?
Right over here, yeah, like I said, over there on the Casey is Raw channel, I do my charity work, so I do my good Christian duty, and I help out the less fortunate. But I'm not always on there, just kind of when I want to be. But if you want to find me, dedicated, here on Thursdays and whenever we do a pop-up random Tuesday thing or whatever. So that's about it.
Yeah, every now and again you'll see me over there slumming on Casey's channel as well. Actually, I did make another Fortnite 1v1 sniper map. Hopefully I'm going to get Casey over on that and murk him on there, show him just how bad he really is at that game.
Hey, Casey, 1v1 me on Rust on Call of Duty. I'll kick your ass.
Let's go.
Ooh.
Get Call of Duty, Kate. I'll just stand there on top of Rust and just watch. No guns.
Yeah, he can adjudicate. Yeah,
I'll comment. I'll commentate. I'll go ahead and go live.
Oh God, that'd be awesome.
Like Jeremy comes around the corner. Oh, just pop Casey right.
No, he got him in the face. Let's watch that kill
cam. By God, stop the damn match. Casey's got a family.
360
Frank can pull a JR.
Right. But as for me, you can find me here every Thursday going over all the news that is happening in the world of TV, movies, and streaming. Again, probably Tuesday or Wednesday for the episode 1 breakdown of Last of Us. I know Jeremy is ready to go. I'm sure he's been on the game. He's been reading. They actually did have the premiere event in Los Angeles a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it was recently. Yeah,
the reviews were banging. People came out of there talking about how much
I saw a little snippet.
Nice.
A snippet of an interview with Troy Baker, who plays Joel, and he has a character called James in the show. So he's like, it's cool being from, obviously he's Joel, but it's like he's someone else, seeing it through someone else's perspective in the show, just kind of seeing it from there. And he's like, dude, this thing is like, the bar is like here, and it just exceeds it. I'm like, oh my God, if you get praise from him, the man himself, who just loves this. He's like, I think we told one of the greatest stories ever. I'm like, yes, you did. And I want to see where Ashley Johnson's character is, like the girl who played Ellie in the game. Like, I don't know where she's at, but I will flip my shit when I see her.
I'm waiting for Ron Swanson.
True. Come on, man. You're gonna. You saw at least that little bit that I played when you saw Bill's character. I'm like, tell me you don't see Ron Swanson in this.
I'm here for it.
Awesome.
I've already pre-ordered the action figure and it hasn't even came out yet. So
dude, I'm gonna have all those pop figures. You don't even know.
Thank you guys very much for coming and hang out with us today. We very much appreciate it. Good viewership tonight. We appreciate it. Also, don't forget to share the channel around. I want 500 subscribers because when we get there, we'll be doing our
charity stream.
The Arms of the Angels. 500.
Don't make me break my speech out from last week. Oh well.
Damn right.
Everybody go watch The Bachelor and Hallmark movies and tell Tex all about it on Twitter.
Yes. As long as you're
we'll
sharing
be blocked
this.
if you do.
As long as you're sharing us and getting us up to 500 subscribers. Really want to get there to help the channel grow, and it will help the Abandoned Pet Project. That helps get pets who are probably sometimes hours from being euthanized, from being put to sleep. Helps get them healthy, rehomed with people that will give them lots of love and attention. So definitely go help us out by sharing us around, getting us more subscribers. We very much appreciate you guys all coming to hang out with us tonight. You guys are fantastic and wonderful. Love you guys dearly. We will see you guys Tuesday or Wednesday for the episode 1 breakdown. We'll see you guys then. Adios.
Bye.